Hello, boys, and at least one girl. Thank you for joining us again for another episode of Let's Talk About PvP. This time, we're still talking about Season 13. The last podcast we did was last month, where we were talking about the end of Season 12 and the beginning of Season 13. Our hopes, our dreams, our aspirations, what we thought was going to go right, what we thought was going to go wrong, all that kind of stuff. So we're having a quick catch-up after the first month, just to see how things are going. I'm joined this time by Cersei. He is replacing the effervescent Shekshas. Now, as you can tell by the picture, he is not quite as pretty as Shaq, but he does have better hair, I guess. Actually, he doesn't have better hair. Shaq's just hotter than that pic, full stop. Just straight facts. I'm also joined by the always boomerific, terrific, and very specific Darth Junkie. And also Kreia. So let's just have a quick catch up, boys. How are you doing, Junkie? What's been going on with you?
Not much, man. Not much. You know, tilting the PvP community, but that's what I do best. So.
Tilting?
Yeah.
Well, you mean like that marbles game?
I mean, dude, that marble. Actually, you know what? I found a game that's actually more tilting than marbles.
A Fall Guys? Yeah, I've seen some people playing that.
I literally lost my shit playing it last night. I'm not even lying. Literally lost my shit. Other than that, we're doing really good.
Excellent stuff. Kreia, how you doing, buddy?
Pretty good, man. In the middle of a big move and class is starting up again, so doing that. So, yeah.
What are you studying?
I went back to school for my accounting degree.
Ah, yes, accounting. I forgot. Yeah, I remember telling you that before. Good luck. I believe in you, Kreia.
Thanks, man.
You can be the accounting tiger. I will pounce on your taxes. Har! I'll do your ad campaigns for you.
Thank you.
And a first time on the show, a new guest, the one, the only Cersei. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for filling in.
For everyone that doesn't know me, I guess.
Yeah, give us a little bit of a ASL. What's going on with Cersei?
Yeah, like I'm 23. I study physics.
23? Fuck off. You're at least 38.
Yeah, all right. Okay. In reality, I'm 53, but that's fine. And yeah, I play Star Wars a lot, especially ranked, and I also stream sometimes. Been enjoying streaming lately, but this will probably go down as usual. But yeah, enjoy it while it lasts.
Indeed, yeah. You never know what you've got until it's gone, boys. You heard it here first. Are you really 23? I don't know why. I thought you were in your 30s, straight up. It's probably because you have a guild called Old People.
There are many memes around my age.
I bet half of old people is like in their 20s, if I had to guess.
There's literally one old people in old people,
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And that's Snave.
What the fuck?
I'm sorry, buddy. They kicked me out. You're the only old person.
Oh, did they kick you out? Shit.
Yeah, I got kicked out of old people. You're literally.
Can you please re-invite Junkie so there's someone older than me in the guild? Actually, you're 3 years younger than me now, aren't you? What, you're 38.
Yeah. I'm young.
I just turned 41 last week.
Oh.
And I know what you're thinking, Snave. What's your secret?
I do need to know that secret. Actually, how do you keep your hair from going the lovely shade of fucking grey?
I've got some grey on the sides. Well, first of all, I want to go grey, and because I'm so self-destructive, I'm pretty sure that my mind has just decided to not go grey because that's what I want. That's my theory behind it. My brain's like, fuck you, Snave. You're never getting grey hair. You'll never be a silver fox. I want it bad, man. I want it bad. I dyed my hair white when I was a kid, man. I put a picture on Twitter of it.
Dude,
Grey hair is great.
Wait, your hair's grey too? What? Don't fucking lie.
No, I'm saying grey hair is great. It looks regal.
No, dude, that's looking cool. No, it really doesn't.
I think it does.
Wow, man.
It's horrible.
The problem with any kind of hair attached to your head, Junkie, is the rest of it's attached to your head. So you kind of...
just kill a man while he's down.
I beg your pardon. It's just bands, boys. Just bands. Lol. All right, so let's get into the news. Inadvertent Keemstar. So season 13 has started. So let's just go overview on everything else. What are our thoughts? Oh wait, season 13 is not season 12. I beg your pardon. What are our thoughts so far on the start of season 13? And I'm going to start this off with Cersei because he can flex his big brain muscles here.
I mean, I can talk for an hour if you ask a question like this.
Oh, it's just giving you a general overview. We can get into the specifics as we go along, but just kind of your initial thoughts and feelings.
I mean, there was a change. You can now change your utilities between rounds.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting. I think that's good. There have been nerfs to Forcebound and Merc. Merc cannot use tactical healing on the move anymore.
So what I mean by this is, rather than the specific changes, how do we think the season has started?
All right. Okay. I mean, the season has started kind of bad because, the season didn't actually start on day 1. It started on day 2. Other than that, the season hype was real. Like, all the streamers had, like, really big viewer numbers and, like, Peter the Cellcut was streaming ranked, Aviria was streaming ranked, Swotorista didn't do ranked, but she, like, advertised the new season and stuff, and
I guarantee
was advertised on Steam and so on. Sorry?
I guarantee you, if Swotorista did rank, she'd be fucking kicked. I guarantee she'd get kicked.
Probably, yeah.
100%. 100%. It would be like next top 10 list. Hi, Swotorista here. Top 10 times got kicked in ranked.
But yeah, I was quite happy to see the big hype around the season. What happened then was, of course, that healer decliner that named his characters after, well, you guys, after streamers. And, well,
guys,
I
don't
think
do that.
he
It's
got
super
banned.
fucking weird as well. Does anyone else find it weird?
Wait,
Dude,
there's a decliner named after me? Fuck yeah.
Yeah, he named, like, dailies, what was it, like, Stakshas and Daily Junkyard or something like that. And
Oh man,
Dutch
I didn't even know that I was
Chi-
like that popular that I get named.
You're a big deal now,
Chinese-
Junkie.
Chinese
I'm a
snake or
massive.
something.
I'm super hyped by that, man.
Welcome to the big leagues, Junkie.
Yeah, carry that shit on, please.
You
Like,
have
keep
fanboys.
going.
Welcome to the big leagues.
Yeah, fucking.
Wait till you
A,
start
I'm
getting
good.
hate mail.
Yeah.
Dude, when I get hate mail, that's it. Life is complete.
Well, anyway, because of that decliner, of course, the topic of like cross-roll backfill was like everyday topic and should be.
I agree.
But I mean, at least that guy got banned, and since then, I feel like season is doing pretty well.
Okay, what about you, Kreia? How are you finding things?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Strassi that in the very beginning, it was kind of a shit show. Like it was a full day before it actually started because they, everyone said it started, and then you went to queue and you saw that you weren't actually accruing any wins or losses despite, playing the games. It was just like another preseason.
Imagine having your best opener ever. In
Yeah,
top
a
10
lot of
games,
people.
Junkie.
Yeah, yeah.
Imagine
That's
going
how a
like
lot
with a
of people-
7-3.
Actually, dude, no. In my first 10 games, when the season actually started, didn't actually start but started, I think I went like 0 for 12. So like I was actually happy that season didn't actually start.
Oh man, I was gutted, man. I think my record was like 17-2, and then they're like, check your thing, it's not actually working, and I was like, what? And then I checked it, and I was like, oh, dude,
Your hopes and
So that was
dreams
pretty bad.
dashed.
crushed, yeah. But otherwise, I mean, after that, yeah, I mean, I agree with that timeline that Sarasi gave. It started with the bunk season not really starting very well, and then after that, there was the role-specific decliners for tanks and healers, tanks especially on Starforge for whatever reason, and then
Before we go into Junkies, I'll give you my thoughts on this, because I think this is the worst start to a season that they've ever had by a country mile. Because, like, you had the problem with the decliners and the backfills and all that kind of stuff, which was insane by itself. You had the people who were unbanned, or who were banned the previous season were then unbanned, and they instantly went back to, like, shit-talking and going mental all the fucking time. Like, there's no lesson learned there. I don't even understand the point of that punishment. They banned them for, like, what, 2 months?
it didn't make too much sense.
No. And then you've got, like, the whole force-bound, off-guarding meter, which is absolutely chafing the fuck out of my nips.
I mean,
Can we-
that
can we,
has
like-
already started last season, right? So that's
Doesn't it seem worse this season, though? I don't know. It just seems
no,
like...
it's
I was gonna say, can we make
the
a mental
trend
note?
just continued, but we
Okay.
can talk about that later.
We'll
when
get
we-
on to
Yeah.
that later, I guess.
Put a footnote for Forcebound because we talked about that last podcast, and I said I think it's one of those things where it's just like the illusion that it's bad because it got nerfed, but it's still sleeper strong, and I think that proved to be pretty correct.
Okay.
It's still a
And
problem.
What about you, Junkie? I've seen you have some fucking choice comments on Twitch when you're streaming.
I mean, look, the season started horrendously. You know, let's be brutally honest here. You know, first it started with the devs trying to tell us all that we were wrong, and the season had actually started, but like the first 10 games were invisible, and then they had to backtrack on that by saying, "Oh no, actually, you know what? You guys were right. We fucked up as usual, and the season's not starting until tomorrow." And then, yeah, I mean, dude, let's be honest. The season's basically the same as it is every season. Matchmaking's horrendous. Games are okay when you get a game that's worth playing, I guess. I mean, dude, nothing's really changed, in my opinion, when it comes to PvP.
Okay, so let's put a little positive slant on this, Junkie. What do you think they did well?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing.
All right. Well, okay. Kreia, what do you reckon?
So I think that they did the utility change. I think that went pretty well because that turned out to be more useful than I thought it would be for my particular class.
Anything else? Just the changing of spec, is it?
I mean, other than that, they didn't really change too much drastically, right? Like we've been asking for some pretty basic things like stricter requirements on queuing ranked, which would have prevented all of those issues that popped up with, like, you know, the role decliners who some of them didn't have gear. That's a whole nother thing, is the whole people joining with no gear. Low kick abuse is still a thing, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, fair enough. Sarah C., what do you reckon? What have they done well so far?
I mean, okay, I kind of said season is going well. Now after Junkie talked, I'm kind of backing up. Go back a little and say, well, I have pretty low standards at this point, I guess, after the last years, so I'm thinking it's going well, but yeah, obviously.
That's a good point,
there's just no big fuck up, like, let's say the broken battle ring went, like last season, right? For fucking 2 months, you would randomly die on the battle ring went 2 months.
Still happens.
I mean, that still happens.
The vents doesn't happen. Actually, no, the vents, it still happens on the vents as well. But, like, it's still in the game, dude. Like,
there are still a lot of bugs, of course, but there's no, like,
I remember
like that right now.
I remember watching one game, and I can't remember who was streaming it, but, like, literally 3 people died to instant death in one game. In one game, 3 people died to instant death.
I don't think they've changed anything, but it seems to be like Hollow is fucking up way more than before. Like, it's berserk how much my Hollow just doesn't... You know, it'll fire, but it'll yeet me across the map, or, like...
It's working as intended. It's working as intended. If you're an operative, you deserve to be yeeted.
I believe the past tense is yoked. I'm not sure, though. I'm not sure. I mean, I think things they've done well. I think they've been listening. You know, I think they've been trying to do things better. But I guess the big question is, what do we think they can do to improve it, like, realistically? And let's check out to Sarah C as well, seeing as he's got very low standards.
I think, like, the most important part, I really think, are just all those bugs, like basically combat-based bugs, because people want a PvP in the first place, and when PvP is not working because your combat is essentially bugged, people are not having fun. When you get knocked through roll, when you get carved in shroud, when holo doesn't work, when you fall down under the map, when you get stuck by a map, when, you know, all of these things, as long as those exist, there is always a little downside to whatever mechanic rank can offer in terms of, I don't know, elo rewards. Doesn't matter. As long as your combat is broken, there's always, like, bad experience about that.
That's
so
true. I mean, they've said, haven't they, that they want to work on desync in the engine, which is a pretty bold statement to make, you know?
Yeah, I mean, desync is all over PvE, so that's like fixing the game, and I don't see them doing it.
It's a strange thing with desync, because it only seems to be happening in PvP.
No, it happens in PvE.
Oh, really?
A lot. In Nightmare operations all
in
the
operations,
time.
Yeah, sorry.
Tanks are desyncing, standing basically in the group when in reality they are standing outside the group and to turn the boss, their way. But on people's screen, the boss slams right into the group and nope, evaded. On Brontes, when Cephas, does his red big circle, the person that gets it seems to standing still inside the group and everyone has to move out of it.
Yeah.
Well, no, he's actually 10 meters outside. He is doing it right. And the whole group is irritated and it's like, oh. So it's a big thing in PvE too.
I suppose, I guess the next question is the best way to wrap these kind of things together is like, what changes do we feel are the highest priority at the moment and why? What do you reckon, Kreia? What's like the top 3 changes in order of priority?
Stricter requirements on queuing. Do something. Well, I think. Okay, I was gonna say do something about people coming in and like abusing vote kick, but I think that stricter requirements on queuing kind of fixes that issue. So, stricter requirements on.
Well, vote kicking is a big topic, so we'll get to that in a second. But stricter requirements, yeah,
that's fine. So stricter requirements on queuing, and then. Honestly, dude, it's just fixing mechanical issues with the game. Like, it's not fun to be in a close match and then you use like Phantom Stride and you're dead. Or you use it at the wrong angle, you're dead. You use like Hollow and you're dead. Stuff like that.
Well, hang on a second. Phantoms are usually like creatures of the dead, aren't they? They're like undead things. So technically speaking, it does turn you into a phantom. So that's working as intended.
Technically. And then I guess the third thing would probably be... Probably, it's a more controversial one, but doing something about guard probably would be my third thing.
I don't think that's controversial, mate. I think that's a really common opinion.
Well, it's controversial, and we can talk about that later.
It's controversial to sins.
Well, yes and no, but we can discuss that later.
Okay, what about you, Junks?
Wait, what were we saying?
What do you think are the highest priority changes at the moment?
Fixing the engine, like that's literally it. Like that, I don't think they need to do anything else. Like if they do focus on one thing, just fix the game, fix the actual engine, stop people from insta dying, stop this desync, stop anything.
In the game's defense, Junkie, sometimes you insta die and it's not the game's fault.
Hey, look, Colto is really hard to press. ED is really hard to press. Right, leave me alone. DCDs are hard. Okay, but no, they need to fix the engine. That should be their only and main priority to start off with, is fix the engine of the game.
I think the problem with that
is I definitely agree.
It's such a big fix, isn't it?
But that's the most important one. It's the most important one, probably.
Exactly. You fix the engine, and you actually fix a lot of the issues that are actually surrounding the game.
It feels bad 100% of the time, right? To be able to predict that a power tech is going to use carb, and then you shroud and you still get carbed. It feels bad to see that somebody's going to kite you, and then you purposefully save your hollow traverse or phantom stride as an anti-kite mechanic, and then it goes off and you don't go anywhere.
And you end up further away.
Yeah, stuff like that. It's a feel bad moment. It has nothing to do with the actual play experience. It's about the mechanics of the engine and the game that need to be fixed. That would go a long way, in my opinion.
It feels really annoying running after a Sork upstairs only to realize they've been downstairs for the last 30 seconds.
God, yes. Yeah.
I mean, fix those stupid little issues in the game.
That rubber band, dude, on Orbital Station, when they phase walk up top and you're like, oh, they're still down here. But
I tell you what's even more frustrating. I tell you what's even more frustrating. You play an op. I'm very new to ops, so I didn't know this actually happened to ops. Right? You get a Mara or a Jug that ravage roots you. You use your countermeasures and you roll, but you rubber band and you stay in exactly the same space.
Yeah,
that's been there since the beginning.
I didn't even know that was a thing, but that should not be a thing.
It's funny because sorry, to go on to that one for a second. So force push, it knocks you down.
Yeah.
So the reason they removed, it's a bit of history lessons here, boys. The reason they removed the knockdown on operative, or the reason given, was they said that the animation was an unintended consequence and no ability should have that, and that it wasn't working as intended, so they deleted it. But it's exactly the same thing with force push. It's a knockdown.
Yeah.
Does literally the same thing. And those types of abilities, same kind of things. We have Mara Root, Jug Leap is another one as well. So it roots you when you leap to them for a second. If you roll after that, it always drags you back. So you've got to wait a second until it runs out. But there you go.
I want to know if there's anything they can do in general to fix the positioning of characters and make movement more fluid, right? Because there's a lot of just like a good example is on Orbital Station, right, on the bridge when you go to knock somebody down, and then they don't go anywhere because it turns out they weren't actually what you thought they were. So then you waste your knockback, and you've accomplished nothing.
One of the things that I think is a huge contributing factor for the level of desync, specifically in PvP, is there is a fucking retarded amount of slows in this game. At different percentages, different levels, some of them stack. You got movement speed increases from some classes as well. And I think when you have everyone moving at variable speeds and you have slows being applied constantly, the game just feels clunky to play. It's like when I play with a Mara on my team who's, you know, using predation all the time, the game just feels 100% more fluid to me. You know, I just think they need to do something with the slows.
I mean, the question is, does anybody actually know what their slow ability actually is on their classes anymore?
Because I do, because we have a specific button for it, operatives.
Yeah, but like literally every ability
no, it's just built into everything.
Has, is a slow. So
they kind of overdid that. Like, there are so many passive slows, and
it's stupid.
In reaction to that, they added so much more movement speed also.
I mean, seriously, genuine question here. Do you ever use force slow when you play as a Sulk?
I tend to forget it, but I do use it.
Do you ever need it? Like,
it's pretty effective. Yeah, on
I use it all the time.
I mean, it's a great ability, but I'm saying,
but it's kind of useless. Yeah,
like Tracy just said, I kind of forget it sometimes because
the thing is, on Lightning Sword, you're how's it called? Chain lightning,
you have
so much better.
Yeah, exactly. You got like roots and slows on everything that you use.
Roots.
So,
I think it's a contributing factor because you have the same game where you go, what's the pred speed? Is it 80%?
Yep, 80.
Yeah. So you got me slowed by 90%, and then you got them going 180%, and I'm like, what the fuck is this bullshit? Like, it's stupid as fuck.
I mean, sniper with repositioning set. When you use evasion, you have 150%. When you use countermeasures, you have 175%. PT, hydraulics, 175. It's like all the classes have that kind of shit, and it's like, you know, reaction to all these slows. Yeah, add more movement speed, and now you have both, like, acting against each other, and it's crazy.
I think somebody needs to teach them that less can sometimes be more.
Well, I think what you need to do is, and maybe this is just a design philosophy thing for me, I would wish they would replace all of the slows with just a lower second duration route, and just have it on specific abilities. So you actually have to think when you're going to apply it, rather than just do your rotation, and you just happen to also slow everyone. Just put it in as rather than being like a 10-second slow, 2-second route.
It would be nice if people actually had to use their brains. I mean, it wouldn't work for me because I don't have one. But I mean, it'd be nice if people actually had to use their brains with abilities and, you know, slows, routes, and etc. nowadays. But you don't, because every ability you use is a slow route, whatever. So like, there is no thinking behind it. There is no tactical play with a route.
I think
we're way too specific on that topic already again.
Yeah. I think that they've mentioned as well that they are looking into changing some of the abilities in one of the big expansions, so maybe that's something that's coming on there. But speaking of them telling us stuff, can we take a moment to appreciate Chris, BioChris, aka Chris Schmitty, aka BioChris, because in all fairness to him, he puts up with my drunken rants on the PvP Discord, and is very forthcoming with information and help, and he genuinely seems to be trying, regardless of the effectiveness. So,
not only he's trying, he's also like he gets it. He's smart. He can put one and one together. He gets the topics that we talk about.
Yeah,
I think that I too appreciate Chris, but I think that what would really allow us to progress at like lightning speed for PvP specifically, since it's a PvP podcast, is if we had devs that performed at a high level in PvP, because then they would understand exactly, like, it's one thing to look at something from an analytical standpoint based on numbers, but it's another thing to have numbers and personal experience, right? Because there's some things that they may not mathematically be oppressive, but the feeling of them is still pretty oppressive. Like Forcebound is one of those things, probably.
I was going to say,
true.
I mean, look at it. Yeah. If you look at it holistically,
especially like if a dev plays ranked for 1 week every day, he basically knows every bug in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
there was
so
definitely
true.
There was definitely
I
that.
don't think anyone at BioWare even plays the game.
No, that's not
So-
true. Chris said he was vote kicked out of a ranked game before, so
Yeah.
he does play.
I'm not sure if that was a troll or not, actually.
I honestly hope that's true. I really
Look,
honestly hope
we've
that's
said this.
true.
I've said this before on the stream. Is I would really like. I think Chris would probably be a good example, a good person to get involved, or maybe the combat team guy, or maybe you just don't even have to name the person who's doing it. If they just joined a streamer and did some like kickball games, you don't have to do like ranked. You don't have to do actual. Like, you can just do challenge mode. You know what I mean? Just get some teams together and just have some fun with it, so people can actually see they do know what they're doing and they do press the buttons and they do understand things. I guess the downside of that is like when Modney did it, people are still shitting on Modney like what 6 years later. They're still making fun of him like fucking 6 years after it.
I mean,
happened.
it doesn't
That's
need
a big
to be
issue,
streamed.
though, right?
Like
That's
I would
a big
love.
issue.
I think it
Okay,
does.
so
I think it
go
needs
on,
to be
Freya.
broadcast somewhere.
I don't know if it needs to be streamed, but knowing that there's somebody competent in an actual in practice, right, who actually knows how classes stack up against other classes, where this class is weak against other classes, so they can make balance changes that aren't just like, well, on paper this should be good. Like you can actually see, okay, this is how this actually
Do you get
plays
that
out. It
impression
sounds
as
like
well?
it'll be good.
That they do, like they paper balance.
Yeah, because look at Forcebound.
Yeah.
Like Forcebound is like the perfect example. They nerfed it and they said, okay, on paper this should be a lot better, but it's still like even like I said last podcast, I said this is just a thing where people aren't using it as much because on paper it got nerfed and they see, oh, this is a pretty big nerf, but in reality it's still just as oppressive because I mean, I don't even have to say why because you guys all know why. You've seen it in matches. You know what it does.
I
and
just
how
fucking
hard it
hate
can carry.
percentage-based changes. I just think they're dumb. Like when it comes to accuracy, if you made a damage reduction, I probably wouldn't care so much because that's just a flat, DR. But when it's like you've got a 50% chance to hit, 50% chance to miss, and you think, well, do I take the chance? If I hit, the person is upset because I hit them, and if I miss, I'm upset. So no matter what happens, you got like it's a lose-lose situation. Do you know what I mean? And one of those players is upset.
That's
Exactly
the
it.
classic RNG stuff debate in every single game. I think it's controversial because, critting is fun and not fun, that's also RNG.
I think that's a different thing,
But
though.
even crit's different because you can calculate a crit. Like you can over
I
time.
didn't want to start
crits are
this,
gonna
by
be-
the way, sorry.
Yeah, you're good. I'm just saying. I understand what you're saying. All I'm saying is like overall, like if we had someone who actually PvP'd, I think that PvP would be in a much better place because then you'd have less paper balance changes and more balance changes based on both mathematical statistics as well as in practice. That's like the best.
Okay.
That's the best of both worlds, in my opinion.
I'm gonna jump in for the devs right now because I think PvP balance hasn't been that bad for the last 2 or 3
No,
years.
I agree.
It took always a long time, but it's not that terrible. And going back to the priority number 1 that we settled on, which is like fixing mechanics, right? Like personally, what you said about sitting down with a streamer, like what I would do is, like I would love to do, just get in a call with Chris for an hour and do challenges with him, not to like play the game, but instead just show him every single bug I can think of directly.
Do you know
Get
what?
into Corellia Square and instant death, like provoke it, and it happens. And
Do
he
you know what
sees
I
it.
want, Cersei? I want URC Dev Edition. And then we'll sneak Alim in there. We'll give him a fake name. Oh, on that spreadsheet Ace sent us, one of the characters was called Eric Mustard. I don't know why, that tickled me. It's fucking Eric Mustard. It's a brilliant name. Anyway, so let's go on to the Season 13 changes and how we found them so far. I'm not even sure if you guys will even notice this at all, but how are you finding the new rewards for PvP?
I have noticed because I've been keeping track. They're a lot better.
Fuck yeah.
They're significantly better.
I-
Mostly when you're winning a lot. I mean, over time it should average, right? If you're winning
Yeah.
and losing, even if you get the worst crates and the better crates, over time it should average 50-50. It'll be more than 50-50 if you're a better player. So I think the contention with the rewards change is really going to depend on the type of player that you are. Not saying that like offensively, but like worse players are going to lose more, so that's going to be like a nerf to rewards for them overall.
I agree
right?
with you, but I mean, I'll take me as an example
Yeah.
because I don't have the best win-loss ratio, and I have a fucking stupid amount of tech fragments. So, I just reverse engineer everything. And
not just that too, like legendary
crazy.
embers, dude. You get a ton.
fuck
You make
yeah,
a
the
lot more
embers.
money now. A lot more money
mean,
as a PvPer.
I
Dossier
think
is
it's
laughing.
perfect right now. Like both winning gives you a lot, and playing a lot also gives you a lot. Like the reward system is perfect, basically.
What about for regs? Have you guys fucked around with that at all?
Nope.
No.
Not too much, but I think it's better now because you also get a box for losing, right? And
Well, you got a box for losing
get that
before.
Did you?
It's that's what they nerfed. You get a better box for winning and a worse one for losing, so it should average out.
Yeah.
I see.
I mean, I was doing mostly all my regs are done whenever I'm doing like dailies or weeklies, you know. And with that being said, like I never really had an issue with it, but I saw some people on the forums or whatever when I was checking complaining about not be like the whole win based thing. A lot of people have issues with that because now they can't progress their quest if they're not winning. Which, like I said, it just goes back to like the type of player that you are, which is gonna determine how you interact with the new rewards, whether it's like a positive or a negative type of feedback, you know. So, I mean, personally, I was winning a lot of my regs. I never really had any issues. I didn't see it take any longer than it used to before the change to complete my weeklies or dailies. But I can't, I play an assassin. I get to do cheaty things in regs, so maybe for other players.
Well, I mean, I played a fair bit of regs over the last couple of weeks. Mainly solo. I've done some in like groups of 2, occasionally groups of 4. And from my point of view, the games are usually a lot better than they were. Because previously they were really, really bad. I mean, I stopped playing regs because they were so bad. It's not that I don't like the game mode. It's just the people in there didn't know what to do, didn't want to know what to do, didn't care whether, they just didn't give a fuck. And I know there's a lot of people now saying that it's harder to get if you're queuing solo, and maybe it is. I certainly haven't found it that
actually. Way. So we talked last time on the last podcast. We talked about our predictions as far as them changing, the whole lockout thing for regs, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that's been as bad of an issue as maybe we would have thought back then.
I didn't think it was an issue anyway. I see a lot more pre-mades in the queue now.
Yeah, I was going to say, anecdotally at least, I've seen the skill level in the queue rise, mostly because it's groups as opposed to a ton of solo players. But I haven't seen, I think the lever issue incentivizes people to want to win, which is why there's more pre-mates in the queue.
Yeah.
And I don't personally have any issue with that because, I don't have an issue with going against tougher opponents. I think that's great for PvP. That's what you want. And I think overall that particular change of, the whole lockout for regs, I don't think that was as bad of a change as I may have originally thought it was going to be.
So from me being a reg star for life and following some of the comments on the forums, basically the conclusion that I've come to is there's a subgroup of players who are very vocal and who, if things aren't specifically what they want, regardless of whether they're good ideas or bad ideas, they tend to shit the bed over it. So that the people the people that I read on, they post it all the time, because what's generally happening is you get the same couple of people, there's 2 or 3 of them, who post an ungodly amount on the forums. It's ridiculous how much they post, and because they post it so much, either they've convinced themselves that it's reality, or other players start to believe that it's reality as well. I can imagine people have a rough day in regs where they lose a bunch of games, they go on the forums, they see the same people spamming every thread saying that it's shit, and then they go, oh, that's the problem. It wasn't me, it's the game. Look at these people, they post all the time, they must be right. I don't actually think it's correct at all. I think the rewards in regs now are way better than they were. I think the lockout's a good idea, and I think the more pre-mades in the queue, the better, because you've got as likely a chance to have them on your team as against you. So it's not as simple as, oh, there's a pre-made in the queue, we're going to lose. But the solution to it is to get in your own fucking pre-made. I mean, if you're in a guild, this is an MMO at the end of the day, right? I understand it's got a heavy slant towards solo focus, but it's silly. It's a bit like if you want to go do an operation and you're upset that you can't do the hardest content in the game and get the best rewards and unique rewards on a solo a solo playthrough with the Jesus droid. That's fundamentally not what the game is. It's an MMO. If you were struggling to finish your regs weekly, join a guild. Join one of the like the Stroke My Wookiee type guilds, you know, where there's like loads of players. You can just say, does
Yeah,
anyone
group
want
up
to do
with
X, Y, and
somebody.
Z? You know what I mean?
There is one thing I would like to say about the lockout though. I agree with it 100%. The lockout for Regs is great, but I don't know if they intended for this. But if you leave a Regs match, you're also locked out of ranked, which
Yeah, I found that out the hard way as well.
Yeah, I don't think that should be there.
No, I agree.
Right? If you leave a reg game, lock you out of regs, like whatever. Don't lock them out of regs and ranked. I don't think that was intended. I really don't.
No, I think it's just the
intended or
standard
not,
lock.
but I don't know if it was intended or not, but I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing either. Like, I think overall, I think the idea, right, was to curb the behavior of wanting to leave a PvP match, regardless of that if that's ranked or regs, because there's already that lockout on ranked, right? Plus the lockout on regs. I think it doesn't, since there's a lockout on both queues, I don't really think it matters that, you know, you're queuing regs and you're like, all right,
Well,
I'm
okay then, but why can you leave rank? Why can you leave a ranked match and not be locked out of regs?
Yeah.
I mean, if that's the case,
That's kind of a bug. But
yeah,
I
if that's
agree
the
with
case,
Freya there.
you should just add it in that you can't join a regs match either. Then if you leave a ranked match.
Well, yeah, it's got to be the same way both ways. That's
I
what
agree
I'm
with
saying.
you.
It can't be like
Consistency is key.
Like the situation is like they wanted to, or people want to be regs, be more competitive again, right? With better matchmaking and punish leaving. So that's the goal.
No, I agree.
Why would you say, okay, all those ranked players playing at 1 p.m. watching Junkie stream in the background, just waiting for the first ranked pop to start, doing regs, and as soon as Junkie gets the first pop, they all leave that reg to queue ranked. And I mean, that's also kind of like, they stop that, and that's a good thing, right?
Okay, yeah, like I can agree with it, but as I say, like it's got to be the same for both sides. It can't be like just for regs and then you get locked out for both.
It should be, yeah.
Okay. So the other change we had was the ability to respec, and Kreia, you said you've used this quite a lot. So how are you finding the ability to respec during a match? What kind of impact have you seen from that?
So at first I didn't think, like, I thought it'd be great, but not like the biggest deal. But I've realized, like, the more that I play, the more that I've played around with it, I realize it lets me be more of a, like, augment my playstyle to be more of a support player when I need to on the fly in between rounds, which is really great. Being able to, like, take insta-lift, or not take insta-lift if you know it's not going to be good, being able to take knockback route when you know it's going to help your teammates kite, or not take it if it's a mostly ranged comp on the enemy team, or, you know, if you're playing a map like Mandalorian Battle Ring or Orbital Station where it's useful, but if I'm on a Corellia Square where it's less useful, you know, I'm able to augment my playstyle on the fly. I think that's really useful, and it's proven to be a lot better than I thought it would be. My biggest issue with it, in my own opinion, is that it's not able to be used every time you die in regs. It should be usable in the respawn area.
I agree with that,
because once you leave, there's some maps where you don't know the enemy team's comp, so you can't pick utilities based on what you need, and when you finally find out what the enemy team comp is after you leave spawn, now it's too late because the match has started.
Yeah.
So if they would just fix that portion, it would be perfect, but it's definitely a lot more useful, and it's added like a new element, an extra layer, I guess you could say, to my personal playstyle in ranked.
What about you, Sarah? Because you play a lot of classes, don't you?
It added skill depth, right? And that's always a good thing. So yeah, you get rewarded for picking the best utilities for the match you get, and you get also rewarded for, after round 1 finished, predicting the opponent's strat for round 2 if that impacts your utilities, which it definitely can, like your focus or you're not.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a good thing. Of course, some classes profit more than others. I would say like Sork and Sin profit a lot. Operative, not so much. They take the same thing all the time.
I don't think I've respect once.
Yeah, but
Can I add on to that question? Like with my own question, can I counter that? So based on that change, right? For those of you who play, so like for Sarasi who plays multiple classes, do you think that being able to, you know, now having the ability to change your utilities in matches, do you think that kind of augments any problems or puts any problems on display for the utility selection for certain classes? As far as like, do you think there should be like a more diverse array of utilities that should be available for certain classes? Since it seems like a lot of them have a lot of homogeneity in between the utilities they choose based on, if you're an operative compared to like a Sin who can choose really multiple different things, and that'll change the playstyle of that particular class. Whereas if you're playing an operative and like you said, it kind of seems like you're picking the same thing no matter what. So do you think that the ability to change really highlights anything that needs to be changed, maybe buffed or nerfed for other class utilities?
No, I don't think so. I don't think,
You don't think
any
so?
class got particularly OP or underpowered because of that change. It's just, general utility design, and
Mhm.
you work with what you have. They can always tweak some stuff for sure, but
Yeah.
I
guess
don't
that-
have anything specific in mind.
Yeah, I guess I'm more asking like, so because some classes they have like a larger toolkit, so to speak, right? But other classes kind of pick the same thing. Do you think that that's grounds for maybe wanting to rebalance some of the classes that always pick the same thing? Maybe rebalance some of their utilities,
No,
maybe
I
in
don't.
like future expansions or anything?
I don't think so, because like the overall balance is a way more important goal to
Uh-huh.
make sure that.
Well, I guess this is a
Not-
good time to bring up the age-old question of should they just have separate talents for PvP and PvE?
Can they
Then
do
you
that?
could, well, yeah, of course you could. You just have well, look. So, in the game now, there's certain abilities that perform differently when you're against a player versus when you're against a mob. So, like Smash is one example. There's a bunch of them that Knockdown is another one with operatives. There's a bunch of abilities that work differently. So, what you could do is rather than necessarily having two separate skill trees, you could have one skill tree, but with say you add an extra 2 or 4 options to each one, and you make those ones far more PvP specific ones, so that obviously people aren't going to pick them for PvE. So, like for example, your X ability now does Y only applies to other players, not to normal mobs. So no one is taking it for like farming X, Y, and Z. Or you could have it activate when you go into a PvP zone. Those separate ones too.
I think the
I mean,
reason
that
they
would
probably
be a-
didn't the reason they probably didn't choose that route though is probably because of the new player experience. Like I remember specifically for
Yeah,
me,
fair enough.
when I started Sin, I saw Whirlwind. It said like you can pick a utility where it will Whirlwind 3 targets instead of 1. I was like, dude, that's gonna be so awesome in PvP, like an AoE 8-second mez. And then I did it, and it doesn't work on players. And then I had to read further, and I was like, oh, I'm just an idiot. But I can't imagine that I was the only one who's done something like that, probably. So.
Mate, you're speaking to a guy who, when he first played WoW, got a cat pet. I was playing Rogue, you know those little cosmetic pets? And I spent about half an hour trying to get it to attack because there was a make pet attack button. It didn't say it wasn't a combat pet, so I understand.
That's probably
what
why
you mean.
they haven't changed it. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's more of a like 7.0 topic. So that's not gonna.
So we'll talk about it in
something they will do.
2024, is it?
Yeah, basically. Like maybe we will see that then, but until then, like I said, class balance. There's always things that are annoying here and there, but overall, fix the combat. It's more important.
Yeah, I agree. But I've just noticed, well, Junkie, that's a very familiar looking black couch behind you. You've been doing many casting videos recently?
Well, got to get the girls somehow, right?
He's like on Twitch, hey, yuck, 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 how bad do you want this host, baby?
Exactly.
All right, so this next one's a big juicy topic, and I'm going to open this up with Sarah because I imagine you've got some fairly strong thoughts on this. How is matchmaking at the moment, and what changes would you like to see?
Can we talk about meta first,
You want to
and
talk about
then work
meta?
out which, or is it more about like elo matchmaking?
No, we can talk. Well, we can talk about the meta first. I'll just move it down to the meta section. That's not a problem at all because that's next anyway, so we'll get to it relatively quickly. So the meta, aka the meta, what is the current meta of gameplay in solo ranked, and why is it off guard?
I mean, okay, so when I'm starting here, I have a pretty, let's say, strong opinion on what the top 4 classes are at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And those are PT, Sorg, Sin, and Operative. No particular order, but I'm pretty sure
No
these are
Marauder?
the top 4. No Marauder, no Merc.
If you-
Marauder and Merc are close behind.
If you go by the, I know the leaderboards are bugged, but before they were bugged, if you look into those, Sniper was actually the highest performing, but that looked like a bunch of shenanigans. After that,
that's surprising anyway.
it was mainly NA players. The top 5 was all NA players, so I don't know whether that's just one person with 5 characters who's really good. So I'm just going to discount that because it didn't look particularly right, and it's like against everything that I've seen in the game. But the top ones were PT, Jug, Sin. Operative was actually fairly far behind. It was on par with Mara and Merc, but there was a big gap between.
That's like the leaderboard observation. You always see like some surprising things there. I like to take the leaderboards as well as source for how good is which class, but sometimes for some reason it doesn't really reflect what you experience.
Well, I think there's a difference. So this is the way that I look at the leaderboards, and this is something that I've done for a while. Back when people were saying operatives are OP and all that kind of stuff, when I started looking at them, they're a good way to track extreme performance differences. So what I was doing in this comparison is I was looking at the number 1 and the number 5. So the number 5 Jug, Power Tech, and Sin was higher than the number 1 operative, Mara, and Merc. So there's a discrepancy there. And what I think will happen with a lot of classes, certainly things like, let's use Merc for an example, because that's a pretty good example. It's a class that's recommended to people if they're new to it, because it's got a lot of strong abilities and it's fairly simple to play in a kind of medium performance. Do you know what I mean? You haven't got to be the world's greatest Merc to perform decently on there, because it's got very strong cooldowns, it's got good damage, it's pretty simple to play. So what you'll find with that class is it'll be strong, but maybe it'll be not a top 3 class, but it'll be consistently 4th. You know what I mean? Like, you play Battleground Cersei. It's like when you pick a hero because it places top 4, not necessarily top 1.
Basically Daryl.
Exactly. It's very consistent. So they might not be the strongest, but they're very, very consistent, and they're going to get a decent performance because of that. Whereas the other ones you see, like Sniper's a good example, because currently, I mean, I played with Capri-Sun and Navy, who, I mean, probably 2 of the best snipers in the game. And they make it work, and they do well. And then you play against other snipers, and you just see they get absolutely shit all over in seconds. There seems to be a huge diversity in the skill level. Same with the Sin as well. They play against some Sins, and they just play it like triple maul style. And they haven't adapted to the new style of play. And then you play against the ones like Blue is a good example, and Mickey Hawelad has changed to it as well, where they're in and out, off guard, and playing it like a utility control class with damage. And those ones are being incredibly successful with it because of the change in the game style. So with that one, you can have a lot more variance, like with snipers and Sins, and less of the middle ground. You know what I mean? That makes sense?
I mean, Sin and Sniper is excellent examples for like skill gap between players. But yeah, overall, like I say, I just said my impression of which classes are good on average or carrying on average. Of course, in some matchups, that lonely PT without off guard in the 3 DPS game against double stealth opener plus net, that PT is garbage.
Well, yeah. I'll jump into my picks here, right? Because it bleeds onto something else and to do with the meta, in my opinion, involving assassins. Because I think Sins are the strongest class right now. Then Power Attacks, then Jugs. The reason I think is Sins first is because if you have a Sin on your team as a power attack, it enables the power attack to be more successful and the Jug to be more successful. So not only are they good on their own, but it kind of smooths out any weaknesses that you would have.
That's exactly where I was going to go with your previous comment, Snave. So when you'd mentioned the variance, I thought that was a really key word, because when you mentioned some of the players who are performing the best, right, on high variance classes, when you look at, I think you really need to look at like the teams that they're put on to kind of, because certain teams will augment their already stellar performance to be just insane, right? Like a good example of that is, like you said, Sniper is one of those classes where some people get blown up on it and some people do really, really well. Well, the people that do well, not only are they already mechanically strong at that class, but when they get put on the same team as things like you said, Sin, which I was going to get into on another topic when we talked about Guard a little bit. But I don't want to distract from our current discussion. But yeah, when you get a really good sniper on the same team as a really good Sin, those two classes just augment each other, right? Because Sin is weak to white damage, like it's severely weak to white damage, and Sniper has diversion. alternatively, Sniper can, they're pretty weak under focus to like things like operatives, but then Sin has guard. So you have these classes feeding off of each other, and that success kind of, like I said, it just kind of goes hand in hand.
And this is a great thing. Can I jump in there? Because you talk about synergy between classes, basically, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And that's exactly what I want to...
Yeah, in this case,
why I want to say...
is correct.
why I want to say why I think these classes are so good, and why I think Marauder and Merc are like only average right now, because they are two of those classes with like the strongest toolkit in the game.
Mhm.
You have net carrying whole rounds, and you have predation carrying whole rounds. Yeah, but still, I think both of these classes don't synergize that well with other classes than other classes do, right?
Yeah,
So,
I think that definitely makes your
They win
argument
more
for
strengths.
your tier list. I think that definitely makes your argument a lot more clear as to why you think what you do. And in that regard, I definitely agree with you. Because I think my opinion is that Mara would be up there and Merc, mostly because when I'm looking at like a tier list, I'm thinking from like the average player, and then how does that, as you increase in skill level, what does that class do at the higher tiers, right? And I think for the average player, you're going to have classes like Merc and Mara, you're just going to find way more success than you will on Sin or Sniper or something like that. And I think that's kind of relevant, right? Because the meta is going to be made up of, well, people of all types of skill. And so you have to take the average, in my opinion. And most of the players who are of average skill are going to pick easier to play classes, so to speak.
Sure,
but I definitely agree with you that certain classes that have synergy, that's probably, those are going to be the top classes like Power Tech. They have amazing synergy with Sin. Sniper has amazing synergy with Sin. Sin overall is just like a really good support class, which augments every other class, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you as well. Like I'm more looking at the top end, I guess, than the average player.
Well, I think there's a simple way that I look at this in terms of like the strength of Sins right now is if you deleted Sins from the game, just they no longer can queue for ranked for whatever reason, you would see a massive decrease in the performance of Power Techs and Jugs.
Mr. Snave, I don't feel so good.
I don't necessarily agree on PT and Jug that much. Of course, double off guard, yeah. But I think I want to go further with my tier list basically and say Sniper and Jug. Why do I think they are at the bottom when they synergize so well? Well, yeah, they do synergize well, but they absolutely require that synergy to do well. A Jug is usually garbage without support. Generally, pretty bad. Worse than the PT in almost every match. But if they have the off-guard support and have a map where they can kite to get multiple EDs, hello Chili, that class is great. It's absolutely carrying, but you need that help. And I think it's kind of the same with Sniper, because like even the best snipers sometimes just completely get fucked. And they can't do anything about it. They have that free casting PT on them. If they roll energy burst, well, fine. That 75% movement speed wide barred PT will just be at your position after roll in second and energy burst you again through evasion. He doesn't care. And yeah, snipers can carry, but they are also at the bottom on average, I think, like Jug.
I think Jug is really strong. What the fuck?
No.
But is it stronger than Sin PT?
Jug is strong, as Tracy says, as long as it has somebody else.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? That's what's happening. That's why they're
But not
strong.
all the time. And I think, like I said, the top four synergize very well all the time. Mara and Merc are strong themselves, but don't synergize that well. And then you have Sniper and Jug who need the synergy to perform well.
Oh, PTs are pretty strong though. Like, so even on its own right, a PT can do its job, which is to kill something or get something low enough to be killed before they die. Just in it by itself. A Juggernaut can't do that, I don't think.
PT is pretty OP.
A PT can totally do that. And then once you start adding on other synergies like off guards, off heals, peels, from various other types of classes, then PT just gets stronger and stronger. If you give a Juggernaut the same tools that a PT has, as far as like synergy from other classes, a PT will capitalize on it way better than a Jug, like 100%
for sure.
of the time.
But I think
100%
the idea with Jug is if you can survive until the second ED, then generally you're going to win.
If being the right
yeah,
word.
it is a big if. Yeah,
It's a massive if. Like, it's not a massive if you have an off guard. Like, you're guaranteed a second ED if you have off guard. But like,
But the other guy will die.
yeah, exactly. And like the Jug on his own, like without off guard being an issue in the game, is literally awful. It's actually awful.
like I'm a very mediocre to bad Jug, and I'm taking between 750k and like 1.2 million each game.
But you have to think though. Okay, so even though you're taking that much damage, how much DPS are you doing?
Oh, absolutely
There's
fuck all.
Okay, now compare that to
Nothing.
a PT. Compare that to a PT who takes an equal amount of damage. How much damage have they done? That's why we're saying like Jug is probably at the bottom, whereas
like,
PT is at the top.
Navush also makes a good
I think Jug is pretty good.
No, Navush makes a good point. You're taking 700 to 1.1 million, Snape. Of course you are. But you're taking that amount of damage in like 10 seconds and you're dead. Like, you can take 700 to 1 million damage, but you're literally not surviving any longer than a PT that's taking, say, 500k damage.
But again, the reason I'm picking Jug on this one is, again, it enables the PT and it kind of smooths that out, because there's games where I'm guarding a PT. That's right, I know how to guard boys, deal with it. And I don't click off the Buffy the Junkie, not because I click and it's a lot of DPS, but because, fuck, finding those little icons. If I guard the PT and I survive and I absorb that damage, then there's a very good chance he's going to absolutely blow the nips off a bunch of people.
Again, but look at that situation. Look at that. Yeah, look at that situation though. Who benefited more in that situation with two off guards? You or the PT?
The PT, 100%.
So I think that just hammers in the point.
But that's why it's a meta pick, though, isn't it?
You were more of a supporting factor than the PT was. The PT wasn't.
Okay,
really the
maybe we're looking at this
everywhere.
in different ways. So I'm looking at effectiveness of winning with certain classes. The reason I think Jug is strong is because if you have a class along the lines of PT, you can then guard them up and they will shoot the noses off everyone, and you'll win the game off the back of that.
You're basing your facts on the fact that you're going to have someone to guard or someone to guard you back, right? Yeah. You're not basing the fact of a Jug without guards.
But that's most games.
I know it's most games at the moment, but
that's why it's a meta pick.
Well, I mean, I guess, right? Yeah, I'll concede.
No, it's not a concede thing. You're allowed to have different opinions.
No. It's not an opinion. It's not an opinion. It's like fact, really, isn't it? Like, at the end of the day, like I'm saying, my opinion is based on the fact that a Jug is useless without a guard.
No. Okay. I mean, it's always opinions. The thing is, though, I'm just saying, on average, because for every class and every spec, you can create an ideal matchup where this class is the absolute carry. At the same time, for every class, you can create a match where this class, you are going to be focus target. You don't have guard, you don't have a lot of help, you don't have anything, you're going to die. And you can do that for every class in the game. And I'm saying, on average, Jug, even though it has off guard and it has grit teeth, which is super annoying, I hate it. I fucking hate grit teeth as a tactical from my heart, as Jack would put it. But they are still, I would say, on average, underperforming.
Oh, by a mile.
Yeah, I agree.
I'll just sit here quietly with my Jug. I think Jug is good. All right, so in terms of nerfs and buffs, what classes do you think need to be nerfed? What classes do you think to be buffed? Treya?
So, is it okay if I bring, if I kind of sort of tie into the guard topic with this?
Well, off guard is the next topic, so we can
but
bring
I think
that in.
It's kind of relevant to what needs to be nerfed.
All right, we'll absorb it all in. This is an off guard nerfs buffs conversation.
All right, so I've realized this is something that I've come to personally realize, and which I think has augmented my own gameplay, made me a better player from kind of, realizing this play style and going 100% for it, right? So with Assassin in particular, I think, and I think Sarasi touched on this really well, Assassin, in my opinion, is like the best support class in the game right now. Like,
by a mile.
It's a more And I'm realizing, and we had this discussion in the Theory Crafting Discord too. I know maybe a couple of you saw it, but Assassin is one of those classes where, well, currently in its current iteration, it's a much better support class than it is like a DPS role. It does way better at supporting and augmenting other players and making, your level of success is going to be directly correlated to how well you can support your teammates by throwing out appropriate CCs and guarding, and then vanishing and basically absorbing a ton of damage from the enemy team, and then saying, "All right, f you guys, you wasted all your damage, you wasted your CCs. I'm just going to vanish and heal it back up."
Chasing auras.
Yeah. So with that being said, as far as balance goes, and why I wanted to tie this into off guard, I think that off guarding is a problem, but I think that in its current iteration, Assassin is kind of linchpinned into being a guard bot. It's a guard bot, period. And without, I mentioned this a lot, but without compensating Sin's damage or something else, and fixing the guard issue, it will completely just neuter that class. Mostly because
I think everyone is in agreement with that, though. I don't think people are saying we want them to be flat out nerfed.
Okay, so from a balance perspective, then I would say, in order to balance things, they need to rein in off guard, and they need to make it less ideal to do, or with harsher penalties at the very least. And in conjunction with that, this isn't like a standalone thing. In conjunction with that, they need to fix assassins to make them less reliant on being a support role, because if they fix guard, that's going to naturally nerf Sins. And in conjunction with that, they also need to fix PTs, either their damage or their DCDs, so that it's more normalized and less it's very volatile. What PTs can do is very volatile, in my opinion. So I'd like to see them kind of flatten that curve on both ends of the spectrum, from where they can be super garbage and just oppressive with the damage that they do.
Okay, Cersei?
I don't really like the aspect of penalty for using guard. Off guard is the double off guard decides healer games on its own, but I think it's not that big of a problem. Like, what I would like to see is nerf guard from 50 to 30%. Have that running for 2 months. See if it's too much, too little, and then do further changes. Don't do more.
One of the most
don't change anything else. Just 50 to 30 and see how it's.
That's one of the most commonly kind of suggested things is you reduce it. I mean, to take that a step further, I'd like to see that for the DPS specs. I don't really have an issue with tanks having a 50% guard, because that's kind of what they're there for. It's kind of gone away a bit in PvP. The whole tank identity is more like a DPS guard bot. You know what I mean? But I think
the one to blame every time and to hate. And
I think the one thing that I don't like is that a DPS can do the same job as a tank, like the same effectiveness, with no penalty whatsoever. If you dropped it down to say, I'd go even lower, say put something like 20%, and have that as standard for the DPS ones, and then make it 50% for tanks, and I think that would solve a lot of problems.
They don't even have to, and I've beat this drum a million times. They don't even have to change how guard works. They literally just need to revert the change that they added into the, what was it, 5.0 or 4.0? I think it was 5.0 maybe.
Or the stances.
Where they bake stances as passives into trees, because if they revert that change and make stances activatable, toggleable abilities again, that fixes the issue in itself. Because
I don't disagree with that. It's just never going to happen.
But I mean, that's how they fix it. It's the most elegant solution. It's the most elegant
solution. I personally don't think it's that elegant. I don't.
Why not?
I don't necessarily want to see that again.
What is your counter to that, though?
Can I have a nice little say on guards?
Yes, please, sure. Junkie.
Okay, all right. Controversial. Remove guard completely from the game. I don't want it in the game. It doesn't need to be in the game. Snave hit the nail on the head when he said tanks are literally DPS, right? They're literally DPS. They're not tanks. And the one thing that separates a good tank from a bad tank is guard swap. Just remove that out of the game completely. Then there's no, oh, I've got the shit tank that doesn't guard me on my
But then
team.
what's the role of a tank? Like, unless they change taunt to make it so that...
Yeah, what's the role of a tank now?
Unless they change taunt so that taunt makes you attack the player that taunted you, I can't see what the role of a tank would be.
I'm going to go into another game right here. What is the role of a tank in WoW? In PvP?
In PvP?
What is the role of a tank in WoW in PvP?
But why was like a lot different thing?
It doesn't matter if it's a different game. It's a PvP game that has the same sort of like 2s and 3s. I mean, it doesn't have 4s, but you know, tanks still take part in PvP in WoW. What is their role? They do exactly the same thing. They do DPS. That's all they do. I think their taunt in WoW. Don't quote me on this because I haven't played WoW in a long time. I think a tank's taunt in WoW just actually makes the person they taunted take more damage. That's all it does, right? You can't guard anybody. You can't I don't know what actual abilities all the tanks have in WoW, but a tank doesn't have to be a tank. They're not tanks in SWTOR. They're literally not tanks.
True.
They're overrated DPS. That's all they are in SWTOR. You can't say, oh, I've got a tank on my team, because it's not a tank. They've got DPS gear in. They're doing really high DPS numbers. They are basically a glorified DPS. Like, unless you want to completely gut, like, tanks DPS, which you should. Like, if you want to be, like, 100% a tank, make them queue in tank gear. Make them be an actual tank.
Yeah, Zauri just mentioned that in chat then. He said, what about having the idea of guard's effectiveness being dictated by the amount of tank stats?
I mean, yes, but then, like, again, you're coming down to, like, completely gutting.
It's still about guard at that point, though, because then it's not about... I mean...
Well, the idea behind it is, currently, if you're a tank, you don't go mitty, you go damage, because there's no downside to that. Whereas if you tied the effectiveness of guard to tank stats, you would kill the two birds with one stone, where the DPS tanks wouldn't be very good tanks, and tanks would be much more effective tanks.
I mean, that's the thing we've been dreaming of for years, right?
Yeah,
but tank stats are actually effective in PvP, and...
I'm also going to jump in here, right, again, with the whole I've got the bad tank thing, because, like, removing guard removes the aspect of I've got a bad tank, because you don't have to rely off somebody guarding you and the other person, like, being a better guard swapper. I know it's a very important mechanic in SWTOR. I know it's been there from, like, day one, you know, like, having a good tank, and it dictates who is the better tank because of their guard swapping and so on. I know that's a fundamental thing in SWTOR, but we're moving on to season 13, where the population is very, very low, right? And we're also talking about where one good tank. Let's put, for instance, let's put Jedijah, right, as a tank in queue, right, and then let's have every other tank queue against him. Right? And now I'm not saying Jed's going to win every single game, but he's going to win the majority of those games purely because of the fact that he knows how to play that class inside and out, and he's an extremely good player. Yeah, and his guard swap is probably on point, literally 99% of the time. Now, if one bad tank gets in queue and sits there, and, like, he's great at DPS, but his guard swap is horrendous, aka Rage Reaper, naming no names, but like at the same time, Rage Reaper is going to get farmed and guaranteed loss every single time purely because of his guard swap. I
think you're putting way too much emphasis on guard, because it's not. I don't think it's as effective as you think, because if that was the case, then all three tanks would be viable. But right now, if a Sin tank with the best guard swaps in the game queued Sin tank, that's a GG purely because you have a Sin tank.
That's a balance issue. That isn't a guard issue. That's a balance issue.
But that's why I'm saying I feel like you're putting too much stock in guard, right? Because the guard was that great.
I am. Like, Kreia, two Sin tanks in queue. One's horrendous at guard swap. One's great at guard swap. Who's winning that game?
Whichever team decides to tank tunnel the other one faster, that's who wins.
No. Look, we're talking about a game that is completely fucking balanced. Completely balanced, yeah? We're talking about a game where you don't tank tunnel like the shit tank, and like I'm saying that both of the tanks are equally skilled, just one's really shit at guard swap. Yeah?
Well, but okay, if one is shit at guard swap and they're the worst tank, then they're gonna lose. If
Exactly,
all other things are balanced.
Because of guards.
Well, because the other.
I think we're kind of stuck here.
Yeah, so just to
Yeah.
move on to that one, that should be the case because they're a better player, so it kind of
Yeah.
makes sense that would be that way. But I'll go one further, just delete tanks and healers from solo ranked.
I mean,
That's what team ranked is for. Should just be DPS.
I mean, no. Then you're ruining. Like, then you're saying certain people can't queue. I mean, it's already getting done because. But we'll move on to that subject.
Yeah.
later.
Also, tank tunneling is apparently vote kickable now as well. Don't forget that one. Yeah. So we've gone through guard. We've mentioned some solutions. They're the same solutions we've been saying for the last like half a decade. So I don't have high hopes that anything's going to be changed in this one. But we're going to move on to the next juicy topic, which is Forcebound. Everyone's favorite set.
Wasn't the topic like nerfs, buffs, and fodder?
We've done nerfs and buffs, haven't we? Because it went into guard, and everyone just seems to think guard is the problem that needs to be nerfed and buffed. Is there anything else you want to change on this, Heresy?
I mean, PT.
Okay.
Yeah, like I've been saying this a lot last season that they need to be careful with buffing Jugs or PT's damage, because these are like classes that have very offensively usable DCDs, and in the case of Jug, even a heal to full. So if you give Jug basically PT level damage, a class that can heal themselves to full one time with that amount of damage,
it's problematic.
broken as fuck.
It'd be impressive.
And I mean, they kind of did that with PT now. Like they gave them an extra DCD with power yield. That okay, yes, the way PT DCDs work right now in 4 DPS games, they're gonna use everything at once at the start, pretty much, and then they hope they don't die through Koto, and then they are done most of the time.
Yeah.
But still, their damage is just too much. Straight up. Power load is the problem. That's all I want to say.
So do you think a solution would be then for PTs that you reduce the damage, just increase the survivability?
Increasing survivability of a PT is a very bad
Well,
idea.
you decrease
I don't think
damage.
it needs much. Just
I-
turn down
So
that.
is PT okay? Is PT like SWTOR's Glass Cannon right now?
Yeah, honestly, I don't think PT. I think PT is strong, and I think it's even stronger because of the whole off guard meta. But I don't think PT is like fundamentally problematic because they do a lot of damage and they die really quick.
Mm-hmm. I think I'm sorry, but I think
Yeah.
PTs are fine the way they're
Maybe-
like. Obviously,
But the-
guard is a thing, but like
On their
without that,
own,
they're fine.
Yeah,
on their own, that philosophy is great on their own. But this is ranked as a 4v4, and a lot of the time, it's never just on their like. I wish that like there was one PT and we could see
Okay,
exactly
so,
what
hang
the
on. Other than guard, what else really helps PTs? Because like if you just off heal them, then you aren't doing damage
Well,
yourself,
guard.
and
It's guard.
It's just
Okay.
guard. Yeah.
guard
so,
in conjunction with. It's mostly guard. Guard is like the biggest offender.
Yeah.
Can I draw a picture here? Like
okay.
4 DPS game, PT sits back and spawn, and for quite a long time. So your team agrees. Okay, PT is gonna sit back, so we need to focus someone else in the meantime, right? And you're like, okay, or let's say you of your team says, okay, I'm gonna try to catch that PT right after he leaves spawn to like get on focus target as quickly as possible without losing too much time. And you're starting a 1v1 against a good PT. Let's say you're a Mara. That's a pretty bad idea
Yeah.
because you are not target. But in order to win that 1v1 even closely, you need to use every single DCD you have because their damage is so fucking high.
I'll give you a true story on this one, Sarah. See, I discovered that yesterday when Chili decided to blow my cock off at the start of a game, and I was like, "Oh shit! I've got no buttons left now. What the actual fuck is this bullshit? I'm not opening on PTs ever again."
And you're even an operative, so on operatives, PTs need to be super careful to not global themselves in the reflect, right? So operative kind of has that bonus. Imagine every other class, Mara, even Merc. If the Merc like wants to win that 1v1 quickly because he wants to move on in the match, he needs to use all his buttons. And that's how strong PT is. I'm just saying, PT is not only strong with off guard, it's also strong on its own. The only moment where PT is bad is when it gets hard focused by 3 people without like room.
I mean, a PT is very, very, very predictable and very, very outplayable. So I'm sorry, I don't agree with you at all.
I guess this is my own opinion on this, but so how we talked about earlier PT versus Jug, right? And how I stated that PT can do its job even with no off guards. A PT can get in, blow something up, and then die. And they've either done enough damage so that the rest of the team can finish off something pretty easily because they made somebody waste all their DCDs, or they've just outright killed somebody before they die. And that's without off guard.
Yeah.
And from there, it only gets better. It only gets better the more stuff that you add
Exactly.
on, like the more synergies. It just gets better from there. And
In
that's
every single healer or tank healer game,
yeah.
you as a PT DPS, you are always the god. I mean, Junkie, remember those late night matches we had where I was on PT and you were a scoundrel DPS, and it was
Yeah.
tank healer games.
Oh yeah.
We would have lost these games if I wasn't PT, and we would have lost them 0-2 without any chance.
Yeah, but then like to be honest with you, like I think every class should be like strong in certain situations,
But
and
PT is the king in every single healer game, unless they are against double guard.
like
PT is always the strongest
So,
class
so
in
you're,
healer
you're,
games.
you're telling me, right? So in a healer game, like this be completely hypothetical and exaggerate throughout the world, right? So you got one PT in a game of three DPS, one healer, right? It's just one PT on the other team versus with no off guard or anything like that, yeah, right? So that PT is the king of that game. Not at all.
Yes.
No,
Like,
because that PT is still dying before anybody else in the game. He might do a shit ton of damage, but he's still dying before anybody in that game. Like,
I think, especially if you have emergency power, I completely disagree.
okay,
Even
look,
without
look,
it, it's
look,
still strong.
I'm a strong person. Strong person? Yeah, I'm a strong person. But anyway, like I'm a strong advocate for getting rid of emergency power. I think it's a broken ass set. I've said it a million times. It is broken. 100%.
Makes the best class even stronger.
Yeah, it needs to be deleted. That set needs to go. Like it's 100% the biggest carry in the game.
Yeah.
Come at me.
That's probably a true
All right,
thing.
so,
It's
so
pretty OP.
like take away that set, and it doesn't matter how good you are at PT, you're dying first in a healer game, right? If everybody's being as good as they can be, right, the PT is dying first. Yeah,
But the PT still probably contributed largely
of
to
course,
getting somebody either closely dead or to dying outright.
I don't agree with that. PT has a reset mechanic on shield. They will have their shield back, and with a good healer and with some good peels,
They're still dying.
they survive.
They're still dying before anybody else. in
No,
the game.
no, Junkie, they don't.
I completely disagree with you, dude.
At least
like,
AP PTs don't.
yeah, I'm still disagreeing. Like even with AP, like I 100% disagreeing. Like
Well, that's fine.
yeah. I mean,
And we agree to disagree.
We'll agree to disagree on that one then, and we'll move on to the next. Or anything else, Cyrus, you want to bring up in terms of nerfs and buffs?
I mean, I can comment on. Well, okay. The next topic is Forcebound. So, I think right now, Forcebound is largely affecting, of course, Operative and Storks, and I guess PTs in the same way it did before. So it's still annoying as fuck.
Yeah.
The biggest
The thing I don't
of
like about
Forcebound.
Forcebound is, like, it's such an anti-fun mechanic.
It's also like it prevents every counterplay of CC. That's the problem. Like if you
Yeah.
get the first Forcebound fear off, your team is out of the game for 6 seconds unless they break, right? And after that, you cannot CC back for another 6 seconds, and that's not a fun mechanic to have. Is it OP? I think it's annoying at this point, but it still carries matches, of course.
Yeah, I agree with Mike Trainer's thing here, because again, this is a percentage-based thing. Make it 100%, make it 3 seconds or even 2 seconds. It's still strong, it's still good. It's just
one of those things
such a
for
long
sure, dude.
fucking time.
Yeah, it's one of those things for sure where, like, there's been plenty of games in the history of games where things have been nerfed, not because they're OP, but just because they feel bad to play against.
Yeah.
That happens in Hearthstone all the time. Forcebound is one of those things. Nobody likes to play.
Well,
Nobody
actually,
there's no
Hearthstone is
feel-good
a tremendous parallel, because in Battlegrounds they got rid of Cannon, which was an RNG-based card in Battlegrounds, and the game is like infinitely better now.
Yeah, but I mean, like, man, like, Jesus, dude, like, Forcebound, there's no feel-good moment. Like, when you press that button, nobody else feels good. I don't even think you feel good when you press that button. You're just like, here we
I
go.
do. I feel amazing when I pop it when I pop it. I leap in
Think-
and I see an operative. I see
Wait,
Steve.
hang on a second. What the fuck?
I'm like, fucking
Well,
yes,
this is
mate.
this is the worst thing, right? Because it really cacks operatives, and I've got to be
Yeah.
standing in melee range. So the idea of like standing out of it is that I just can't do that. It's just not a fucking
Yeah.
option.
But Snave, you're an operative. Just roll the fear, mate. Just roll the fear.
Yeah.
Come
Yeah,
on,
easy
like,
peasy.
come on. Exactly.
I mean, the focus target does feel pretty good when they have an operative going for like hard stun, backs volatile thingy here, bludgeon and backstab, and it all misses, and they're like, "Yep."
Well, they changed it
Yeah.
to 70%, and I thought that was a really dumb change because
That's
like
still high though.
yeah,
That's
well, yeah,
still,
but are you going to take a 70% chance to miss on a big ability that you're going to hit with? It's silly to do that unless the person's on low health and you can like theoretically kill them, and so maybe it's worth rolling the dice. And then if I hit them, they're pissed off because it went through the 30%. Do you know what I mean?
Put it this way, dude. Put it this way. When I'm playing solo ranked, right? And I see an enemy assassin pop deflection, that's only a 50% chance, and I have some accuracy, so really it's like...
And you can move
Wait, I
out of
think
it.
about- Yeah. Huh?
You can move out of diversion.
No,
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
talking about deflection.
Oh,
I'm
I beg
talking
your
about
pardon.
deflection.
Sorry.
When a sin pops deflection, it's only 50% defense chance, and I still will not throw low slash because it's probably gonna miss at 50%. When I get force bound, I'm not using any. Like I'm not gonna think about chancing it.
What if they made Forcebound a personal buff then?
Why don't they just make it a flat DR for the jug? Like, oh, maybe a stacking DR.
I mean,
By
that's-
how many people you hit with the fear. I think
That's
that's already in the game, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
stack-
there's some
That's an
abilities like
argument for many, like all of the percentage-based things like IO Merc, Acro Reduce, APPT also has that 30% on their Acro Reduce. You have Diversion, of course. You have fucking Fury Maras, 10% random resist chance passively all the fucking time.
I
Like,
see
you-
you
you-
two are a man of culture hating on Fury Maras. Fuck those pricks. I hate them.
Like, you know, Fury Maras, you want to be, you know, as a player that wants to get rewarded for being good and skill, right? You wait out their immunity for 6 seconds. You even watch, okay, they don't have Saber Ward, the other immunity. And then you're like, hey, okay, this guy has no immunity up. I'm gonna stun him. Resist 10% randomly. Come on, fuck off.
I'm hoping that I understand the appeal of like RNG chances because it's the same mentality as the loot boxes. You know what I mean? It's a gamble. If you win, it's great. If you lose, it's terrible. You know what I mean? But I think games are kind of moving away from that in terms of gameplay, or they should be anyway.
In my opinion, man, the only reason it hasn't been completely gutted is because one of the classes that can use it is already pretty mediocre, that being Jug, on its own, and the other class that can use it is pretty just average.
Can
It's
I tell
not,
you
like,
why I think it hasn't been
super
gutted?
impressive.
Yeah, it's craftable. So if people have spent 60, 80 million buying it, then to have it nerfed.
It doesn't matter. That doesn't matter.
I
It
don't.
shouldn't matter.
Oh, okay.
It shouldn't matter. Like,
I'll
yeah,
just shut up
like,
then.
yeah,
Sorry, Chris.
like, yeah, you think about it. Like, just because something costs somebody something doesn't mean that you should be like, all right, well, now I can't touch it.
Oh, I'm
It
not
still
saying you
needs
should. I'm
something.
not saying that it shouldn't be a reason. I'm just saying that that might be a reason.
Oh, well, yeah, maybe that is contributing. If it is, that's a dumb reason.
Well, it's
I
a
hope
lot.
you're
It's a lot
watching,
of money.
Chris.
You know what I mean? It's a lot of credits you put into the game. 80 million.
Yeah,
is-
dude,
is
I dropped
major.
like, I think it was like 120 mil when I got the set on my Mara, and I would still,
Yeah.
I'd just be like, all right, well, shit happens, but it's better for the game.
Not everyone has that idea though. Like not everyone has that mentality, and you
That's
also
okay.
probably you have a more mature approach. I think a lot of people
I
if they
have an
drop
iron
80
fist.
million.
Iron Fist. I'd drop that Iron Fist, I'd be like, oh, sucks to suck. Press the sucks to suck button.
Okay. Anything else on Forcebound? I think we come up with some decent ideas on it.
I mean, overall, I think it's annoying because it's RNG based, and
Can we lock it to jugs?
it's
only as well?
above
Stop Maras
50%.
from using that shit.
Yeah, locking the jug would be great because fucking Maras with that shit is nonsense, man. I played against 2 Maras and I was Forcebound, obfuscate. Like, what the fuck? I may as well just uninstall my game. Like, I'm just not doing anything for 30 seconds.
Maras
Fuck.
do not need it. Like, I mean, jugs. Nobody should need it because it's a trash fucking set, and I hate it.
It's purely the force tech reduction. Because Assassin has the same set, and theirs is garbage because theirs doesn't work on yellow damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And nobody uses it.
So matchmaking. How do we feel about matchmaking at the moment, and what changes would we like to see? And we'll open this up with Sarah, because I've got a feeling you've got some strong thoughts on this one.
I mean, I've seen the matchmaking debates on the theory crafting server here and then, and it's like always the same, because it's always the same people that say, hey, I want high elo brackets, and the other guy says, hey, I want fair matches, and it leads to nothing, and then the third guy says, well, population issues, we cannot have fair matches. And I don't have a perfect solution either. But we want to say how it is at the moment. I mean, I still don't always understand it. I think it's fun for good players to have a good player bracket, and for new players to have some sort of new player bracket, as far as that's possible in terms of matchmaking.
I don't think you can do it though.
Let me continue.
I think you can.
Sometimes I felt like there were 3 or 4 matches at the same time going on, and all 3 or 4 matches had some high quality players and some low quality players, and Q just wouldn't take a break to resort these players to have like what we see as ideal matchmaking, like all high elo players in one match and all low elo players in one match. And I don't know if the system is not working, or if the system doesn't get enough room, or if it's just overall how they want it to be, just always like equalized matches, and we stop there.
Based on what BioChris was saying, dude, it looks like they don't even care so much about trying to make them as equal as possible. It looks like the largest priority is to reduce queue times. That's what it looked like.
Yeah, that's all it's been. So just to give everyone a little bit of a brief history lesson, the whole shit show, the way this all began was when they removed 8s, right? That's pretty much when everything went to shit. The reason they did that was because they looked at the numbers of people playing 8s. They said that it wasn't high enough, and if they made it 4s, then there would be twice as many teams in the queue, therefore everything would be better, everyone would be happier, yeah? So the problem with that is obviously they did that, and then every guild disappeared and the whole fucking game mode went to shit, and everything just disappeared. So the idea that just playing for pops is having that as a sensible idea has never been true. It has to be true to a certain degree, for sure, but not to the degree that they think it is. Like, again, it's a paper management versus a practical management. And I think the ways that they can change it will allow the same amount of pops, like it'll open the same amount of pops, but it'll make it a lot more fun for the people playing it. Like, let me give you an example of some things we've talked about on this one with the class stacking, because class stacking is a fucking huge problem. You know, I know there's the meme that the 4 Merc team always loses, and that's hilarious, but realistically that shouldn't happen. Like, once a pop has been made, those teams are balanced player by player. So all they've got to do is a sweep before the game starts, how many of what class is on what team. If it is greater than, 2, then put them on the other team. And that just fixes it. You know, I know programming is hard, but I mean, I think if I can think of a way to fix it, then they should be able to think of a way to fix it.
Yeah, I agree.
And the same thing with bracketing. If you kind of prioritize like 14 to 16 and then have it widen over time, because I'm pretty sure the players who are 1400 rated plus wouldn't mind waiting an extra 5 minutes so they don't get fucking Lisbeth in their game. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know any person who's at that rating. It's not as bad as it was, because the meta used to be like who gets the worst player. Like that was literally it. Who gets the 800 rated player on the team? You just kill them and then off you go. It's a bit better than it was then, but you can have brackets and have pops. It's not like an alien concept. Have it like anything to 1200 to 1400, 1400 to 1600, and then have it expand every 5 minutes by 100. You know what I mean? And I don't know why that's such a big fucking deal. I just don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, that's our perspective from our experience right now. I mean, there's the greater picture of, what Chris touched on with the 50-50 thing and fun. Like, fun is hard to measure, and you always want to matchmake in that way that it's the most fun.
So I
Everyone,
want to
ideally.
make a statement on this, right? I don't think fun is something that you really need to think of in the way that it's being portrayed, because having a shit player on your team and losing because of it isn't fun, and it's not fun to beat them either. It's just you get 3 points and then that's the end of it. Really, the way they should look at it is agency, like how much can you actually do to affect the outcome of a game? Because if you've got a person on your team who presses no buttons, runs in and dies, and is 270 gear, there is nothing that I can do to carry that player. I am basically playing a 3v4, and if they have a person on the enemy team who isn't a complete absolute dribbler, we are going to lose purely because of numerical advantage. That isn't fun. I have no agency in that.
Speaking of like his whole, okay, so I didn't say anything just because like I just didn't want to get in the middle of all that stuff. But when Chris said like nobody really wants a 50-50 match, everybody, you want it to be skewed in some way or the other. Obviously not like 1600 versus an 1800 or 800 rated player. But yeah, if everybody's 1600 and his idea was that, okay, well at that point it's just a coin flip, right? It's not actually fun. I think that was totally off base, because he's accounting for the paper 50-50, but on paper,
honestly, I thought that was
not
stupid
everybody
as fuck.
is. Yeah, on paper, not everybody is rated 1600 just because their current rating is 1600. That's the point of ELO. It's supposed to average out over time. So just because player A's rating is 1600 and player B's rating is 1600, so it looks like, okay, that's a 50-50. Either of them could win. Well, not really, because one of them is the better player. There's always going to be one of them that's the better player, and they will always win over time. So that argument in itself was not a good one.
Well, the reason I didn't like the argument is he counters his own argument, because the games are 50-50 the other way. It's who gets the worst player. That's the 50-50. Do you get Lisbeth or do they get Lisbeth? That's it. It is a literal coin flip. Like that's why I didn't understand the argument at all. I'm not sure how much skin they have in the game for this kind of stuff, but I don't think it's that much, just based on what they've been saying.
I didn't say anything because it's like fun. Like I said, fun is like a mix of when do you have fun? You have fun when you get exciting matches, right? An exciting match usually is when you need to work hard for your win. And even though maybe you work hard and still lose, right? But at least the other players outplayed you. Then it's exciting. And at the same time, you want to get generally rewarded for playing. So even if you go 50-50, you still want to get rewarded, which we do, right? We have daily, weekly and stuff, and you will finish your weekly even though you play 50-50.
And here's the other thing too, like, oh sorry, keep going, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Well, no, I just, like what I did in the Theory Crafting Discord, I dropped that 1 hour video. I cannot post it in Trover either, but I can post it here. I can absolutely recommend that video. It's like, I mean, it's the audience that video was made for are game developers, so a lot of the stuff that's talked about is pretty five-head and like very, very engineering based. Okay, but it still touches on some of these things, like where he shows that when you have like a system of, ranks, and first of all, many definitions like skill, matchmaking, and rating, you don't necessarily need to have a ranking system that actually tells you how bad you are. You can tell them something else to
Yeah.
And the second thing is when you have like a hybrid system of ranks and elo, not only elo and not only ranks, because if you have only ranks, you basically just level up, and then you have the problem that all the bad players will reach rank 100 as well as all the good players.
It's like Vala.
And if you do elo only, you have better matchmaking. If you do a hybrid, this might be the most fun, but you have worse matches. Like these sort of things are getting discussed in that video.
Well, one thing I wanted to bring up with, sorry, Craig, it's a very quick point. On the subject of having a more balanced team composition, and the whole 50-50 argument is like, the way it is now, because it's a little bit more weighted towards who has the worst players or the worst comps and all that kind of stuff, there's not as much opportunity to improve, because I've always found that like playing against good players with a coordinated team where you can really like fucking try hard and you're rewarded for it is a very good way of learning how to play the game, whereas charging in dick first, blowing up Lisbeth and then winning isn't. Like you don't learn anything. If anything, it kind of like unlearns things, because you get used to that being a winning tactic so much. I caught myself the other night. I've been playing for about 2 or 3 hours, and I got into a hard game, and I literally did the same thing I was doing all night, just running in dick first, fucking trying to kill the person who was the weakest on their team. Zero thought, because you get into the pattern of doing that. And
Yeah, dude, I'll be honest. Like myself, and I can't remember who else it was that went to, who went to. Oh yeah, I think it was. Who was I talking to? Oh my god, dude. Oh yeah, I was talking to Caprica, right, the sniper. So Caprica's a sniper, a top 3 sniper who. Well, you guys
didn't
probably
get banned,
Caprica,
yeah.
right? Sorry. So so I was talking to Caprica, dude, and we were discussing our experiences going back to NA servers after playing on EU servers. And we were both talking, we just kind of came to the same consensus, dude, that like even the best players on NA are really good, dude, but they're only equal to like about the average players on EU. And we were talking about how despite how crappy the
get
PvP
fucked,
is,
NA boys. Junkie, didn't you move to NA recently?
dude, a ton of people are gonna complain about this, but I'm sure that you'll see like the more people that move over, you'll see like even the absolute best NA players that we went against are pretty close to like average players on EU. Like the games are just way harder on EU, and therefore they're more rewarding. Kind of talking about Sarasi's point, you know, like, and yeah, we lose, like, you can get a worse rating and you lose more games on EU, but those games are way closer and they feel way more satisfying than playing on NA. You know, there's just nothing fun about, especially like it seems like NA has a large influx of new players because of Steam. And that's just drastically lowered the quality of the whole queue because you have to take good play. It's not about just the best players on NA versus the best players on EU, because you also have, you know, the players that are just coming into the queue on NA, and that just severely lowers the skill level of the NA queue compared to EU. And yeah, it just wasn't like the games are just snooze fest, dude. They're really one-sided. It depends on who gets more new players. It's not about skill. It's not about trying. And then you would get that occasional game where you go against like a really, really good sniper or a really good player on the enemy team, and it's like great. But then even those players, you know, they like showboat and do all this stuff, which is pretty fun because it's fun seeing, you know, people be competitive and do emotes and all that crap. But even then, like, I guarantee they wouldn't be doing those emotes on EU. They would just be like another average player.
I'd be interested to get Junkie's perspective on this because I know you've moved across there recently. And I think you enjoy the games, don't you?
I do. But like, I mean, yeah, Trey's right. The better players are on EU. But in my opinion, like, this is going to be very controversial, most probably mean. But in my opinion, the game qualities are both the same because matchmaking is a thing. No, it's because of matchmaking. I know you're laughing and you're
I'm not laughing at you. No, not at all.
No,
I think you're right.
Yeah,
it's the matchmaking.
Quality,
because the quality of the games.
Okay.
Hold on. One second.
Okay.
Right, the quality of the games on the EU, yes, they are better players, but the disparity in the better players to the shit players in the games is there every game.
Yeah.
Right? I'm a shit player on EU. I'm a massive shit player, right? And when I go into a game and I've got fucking Night Rain, Jed, Chili, Sarasi against me, I'm dead in a second. Is that a really good game? No, it's not. Right? It's basically what Snave's saying about going against Lisbeth. They're all running in, killing me, and that's GG. Well done, well played. You know, you killed the shittest player on the game. The quality of the games are no better or no worse than they are on NA, because exactly the same shit happens on NA. Yes, the average player is better. Yes, the better player is better on EU.
But it's a matchmaking issue, yeah.
I guess it depends on where you
Can
are.
we get away from like the NA shit talk already? Like,
I don't think it's shit talk, and we do have an entire section set up for that.
Okay,
I don't think it leads to anything we discussed at the beginning. Like matchmaking.
It wasn't about shit talking NA, shit talking E. Whatever. It wasn't about that. It was just about your point of how a harder to win game tends to be more rewarding, whether that be from a fun perspective, from an experience perspective of gaining experience and insight on how to get better, etc. So that's what I was just bringing up. Like, it's harder to get that.
But what you're saying is, like, as a good player, it's more likely to get worse matches on NA because you're so much better than
that's
the average there. And on EU,
Junkie.
you're in like a group of other equally skilled players, and therefore the game is fun for you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's
but matchmaking, that's not how matchmaking is supposed to work. Matchmaking looks at all kinds of skill, and therefore matches on EU aren't like more fun or less fun on average than the matches on NA, because
I agree.
Yeah, I think you're all right. There we go. Let's be nice. And yeah, the NA shortly isn't needed is because we have an entire section set up for that, so we'll get to that eventually. But so matchmaking, I think we're all in agreement that it needs to be looked at in terms of class stacking and the like elo brackets, I guess.
Yeah.
I think the point I wanted to highlight is just that it's actually not that easy. But from what our experience is, we have kind of a concrete idea.
Seriously, I know you've watched the YouTube video, right? So now you're an expert on it. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna send that link to Asmongold, right? And then I'm gonna have him watch it for me, and then I'll just take his opinions and do it that way, because that's how I consume all of my content these days, is through YouTube videos. So I haven't going to do any thinking to myself whatsoever. Anyway,
right.
let's get into the ranked specific stuff here a bit more. So do you think there's any problems, or what do you think the problems are outside of game mechanics that are happening in ranked at the moment? So by game mechanics, I mean like class balance, class stacking, matchmaking, that kind of stuff. Do you think there's an issue? I guess community is probably the obvious one.
Matchmaking is obvious, like, it's matchmaking.
Well, we talked about
outside of game mechanics. So outside of that, we got matchmaking. We've covered that one. Is there anything else that you think is causing a problem?
I mean, what I wanted to mention in the matchmaking bracket was like, people are, like in every game, but also in this game, like, new players are looking up to veterans. Like, there are idols for new players still, right?
Yeah.
And doesn't have to be streamers, but you know, we know like the good players, and people look up to them and want to learn from them, and it's a good thing it happens. And what I wanted to say in matchmaking, like, it's better. People want to lose against their idols, but they don't want to see their idol losing because they have Lisbeth. That's what I wanted to say. Okay, so
good
now
point.
community. I mean, I think the thing with the streams is working pretty well on EU right now. It's pretty sad that Snave is kind of outside of Twitch, but apart from that.
Can I just say something about the community as a whole? And like, this was highly controversial when I mentioned it in the theory Discord thing. Like, yes, the community is great. Like, individually, I love all of you. I said this on my stream. I think all of you are great people and nice people. But at the same time, the community as a whole got a bad player. And Steve keeps bringing up said bad player as an example, Lisbeth. We got a bad player banned from the queue. I don't think that's right. I don't think that's right.
That's a vote kicking thing. I agree with you.
No, it's not a vote kicking thing.
Yeah, but I have a pretty...
blocked them out of the queue. They cannot play ranked anymore. Right? A company has stopped a player paying to play the game from playing a part of the game because we all complained to BioWare and they locked them out of the queue.
Okay, so I think this is definitely worth talking about, and it's why I specifically wanted to be on here. But if you wouldn't mind doing it under the kick-in thing, because that's all part
exactly
of the same thing for me, to be honest. It's the same idea that you were gatekeeping people who pay to play, and I think there's an analogy to go on to it. But community-wise, I think one of the problems that we have sometimes is like a mob mentality. And a good example of this is vote kicking on Starforge, because it became a real problem where, you know, we had like Prum, who was basically the self-appointed sheriff of solo ranked, and he was kicking people who did tactics that he didn't like. He was kicking people that he kicked Devil because he thought that his conduct on stream was unacceptable. Like, do you know what I mean? Shit like that is it spreads. Yeah. Because like Sarah, she said, you know, you see Prum with his top 3 flay, and you think, well, this player is doing it, and they're top 3. They're obviously someone I should be copying their behavior. They're top 3.
That's a very big topic I wanna talk about later. Is like copying bad behavior.
Yeah.
But yeah, later.
I think if we were to copy anyone's behaviors, like talking of top players, we should be copying like Jed and Asana because they don't get involved.
Oh man, I wouldn't fucking agree with that at all.
Okay, like I don't see
fuck?
I don't see them two getting involved in any drama
Yeah,
that goes.
because they don't talk and don't write.
Yeah,
at all.
maybe
They don't even call strats.
Asana
Yeah,
is normally too drunk to type, right? So that's not a thing on there
Yeah.
anyway. And I mean, look, I've seen some shady shit from a lot of players, so I wouldn't necessarily say. I think one person I think you should look up to is Capri, Caprica Soto.
Caprica, I agree.
I watched his stream the other night for like an hour, and I genuinely learned more in that hour than I had the previous year.
I agree. Caprica is like...
I'm gonna shout out someone else. Like a lot of you won't have heard of him because he plays on NA and like he doesn't generally get involved in anything. His name's Kakarot. He plays on Satil Shan, and like I played on there the other night.
I
And
seem to recall him being
me.
involved quite heavily in the past.
Yeah, but you know me. Like I'm very emotional, and like I call people out and tell them this shit all the time. Blah 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 blah. I'm a massive hypocrite when it comes to being nice to people. But like I'm in a game and I'm calling out this player, and he's like, "Dude, look at yourself before you start blaming other people." And I really respected him for saying that because like that's the kind of thing that we should all be looking to do, right? Instead of like just laying the blame down on somebody because they got globaled or because they're not so good at the game. Maybe we should just look at ourselves a little bit more
That's
and be
basically
like, accept the blame.
educating the community. That's something that's basically...
I
not
agree with
possible.
you, right? But I want to slap in a fucking caveat on this, right? I really do, because I think with us combined, we've probably done more than most people to try and help people anyway, so regardless of our sins, at least we're fucking trying. But I had a merc in the queue. He was a streamer as well. I didn't realize he was a streamer at the time, but he was terrible, right? He was just running and dying. So at the end of the game, I message him and I say, you know, speak to Waithuk. He's a good merc, yada yada yada. He'll give you some tips on like specs and builds and that kind of stuff. And he's like, oh, okay, thank you, all this kind of stuff. So he speaks to Waithuk. Waithuk tries to help him, and then he says, all right, look, to be honest with you, I can't be bothered. I can't be bothered. Then later on, right, I get in a game with him and he gets fucking bodied again. I'm like, dude, come on, man, you got to press some fucking buttons. You know, I'm not even being mean, right? I'm not even being mean on stream. I'm being real fucking nice. He starts calling me fucking salty boy all the time, and then someone says he's streaming. I go into his stream, and he specifically says he's throwing games when he's with me because I'm salty about him. When all I did was go out of my way to point him to someone who could maybe help him. So you know what I mean? I think it's a bit of give and take. There's a bit of give and take.
That's a very big topic of like, you know, some people are, when it comes to that, like snowflake-ish, that they go in there and it's too toxic for them, or they don't get it, and then they are out again, and that's it. But then again, we have like a massive amount of people that watch the streams on a regular basis that don't talk that much. They are fairly new, and they work towards the goal of not being called shit, basically. Like their goal is...
Me and Junkie still
like
have that same goal.
No, that's too though. Like,
but yeah, that's what's happening. Like the streamer wants to comment on what's happening, and then he says, "Okay, this game is going this way, and we're winning because this guy's shit." And the guy watches the stream and hears it, and is like,
yeah,
hey, I want to work on not being called shit anymore." And that's like good player behavior from his side.
Yeah, but that never
The question
happens.
is it always a good thing that we call players shit?
the issue
And
is
then
though,
the next topic is that's always gonna happen as long as chat exists.
Well,
people
look,
are gonna
it's
shit.
it's one of these things where like expecting streamers or like people in the community to be, you know, these pillars of virtue and purity is just unreal, man. Like if you want to stream and shit talk, just fucking stream and shit talk. If people will watch you, people won't watch you. You know, it is what it is in that sense. But I think the idea of shifting the blame onto shoulders of people who produce content is very fucking unfair.
I agree. Don't do it. But
here's the
thing
issue
is,
though. Go ahead.
like I'm gonna get into that later on the vote kick debate again. But what I'm seeing is a lot of the times these like new players, new ranked players in terms of they are fairly new, but they are also socialized enough in the community already that they don't quit. Right? These kind of players tend to copy bad behavior all the time. They don't copy nice people. They always copy the flaming, the insulting, and now the vote kicking. And that's that's something that we cannot fix, I think, but it's something to be aware of.
I mean, the flaming and so on, like, we're humans. Every one of us is human, right? We all get angry. We all get upset. We all say shit.
Pretty sure
Maybe
Alim's
we-
a bot, to be honest with you. Pretty sure Cat's a Russian AI.
Maybe we shouldn't be saying something like I'll use my own stream, for example. Like, I
You're
lose
fucking
my
mean
shit.
as fuck sometimes, mate.
I lose my shit so many times, and yeah, I am a horrible person at times, right? I lose it like unbelievable, but at the same time, I'm human, right? I'm actually human. I have emotions, I have feelings, you know. I will do these things, even
That
if I
sounds
don't
like
mean-
something a robot would say.
Yeah, I'm 100% a robot. Damn it, fuck.
But yeah, I'm not. I want to go away from streamers because it's like
Well, no, no,
in
I'm
the game every day. Like for example,
Tracy, I was just using my stream as an example, but like I'm saying,
It is the
when I'm
easiest
not streaming,
example.
I will type it. Like I will type, "You're a shit cunt. Stop playing the game," kind of thing. But that's because my emotions get involved. Yeah, because I'm either having a bad day or
Yeah.
a good day. You know, sometimes I have a great day, and I'm like, I don't care. You know, he got global. Fuck him. Like, I'll move on next game.
Yeah.
can I give a very concrete example here?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yes.
That's okay. Easy mode. One of the best players in the game. So people look up to him. When he loses, he gets generally pretty mad, and he talks like he flames and insults in chat. So now we have Ayana, who's fairly new player compared to, in comparison, but
And he's a
he's
kid.
also like at this point he's really good, and he's really young, and like he copied that behavior in like season 12, right? Like he was super salty when losing, shit talking, and what we have
So
now.
who did
like
he learn the
vote
win
kicking.
trading behavior from?
That was
okay,
Lyala.
that's-
It was actually
a different-
Stain. Yeah, but there you
That's
go.
a different story.
Yeah,
But
it looked up to Lyala. That's all it was.
like right now we have Dosia, right? Like
Yeah.
Dosia is like super on the overhype, and starts flaming people when he's losing because of them, quotation marks, and even starts with the vote kicking thing also. Like these people always, they how do you tell them to not copy the bad behavior? You can't. How do you do it?
You're fighting a losing battle there, mate. It's not.
Well,
Gonna
so what I was gonna say earlier, the issue with, okay, so I'm with you, Snave. It's not fair to put it all on content creators, right? But the issue is that it doesn't stop there, does it? What happens is, player A or new. I'm a new guy, right? I want to play the game. I hop in the queue because the only way to learn how to play ranked is to play ranked. I have my set bonus. I'm 306, all that stuff, right? And I'm just bad at the game. Then I'm watching your stream to learn and get better, and then I hear you say, "Oh, Cray is shit." So then, Snave said Cray is shit to 70 people watching, and so now, even if I'm not in Snave's game, maybe I'm in a game of somebody else who's watching Snave's stream, and now I'm the guy that's shit, right? And then you never get you can never get away from that stigma, and you're always like the shit guy, and then people will flame you and this and the other, and they think that's okay because he's shit, so it's okay to flame
You
him.
got a good point,
it
but
all
you're a bit
started-
wrong. Yeah, right. So I'll give you an example of a player that everyone used to call shit and absolutely relentlessly mock, and that's Gibbs. Gibbs was absolutely shit on by everyone for years. He was like the whipping boy for whatever social group he was in, and they always relentlessly made fun of him and said he was terrible. And he then went on and became one of the best players in the game. So
At the point, he wasn't shit for complete years. He was always getting better from the first time that he queued. He gets better progressively. It's not like a large leap because that's not how skill works. You don't just wake up tomorrow and now I'm a 2000 elo player from being like a 1 elo player.
yeah,
But
I
the
think
point
no, I
is
think your
that
point
the
is valid.
stigma-
I think your point is completely valid, 100%.
So all I'm trying to say is that content creators aren't completely absolved of the issue just because it's unfair.
Well,
Like, it
can,
also
can I
starts
just
with
bring up
unfair.
another issue that arises from that as well? It's
Go ahead.
because so let's say someone's watching Cersei, right? And Cersei says, "Oh, this player is bad," so they tunnel him, and then maybe that player isn't good, and they get absolutely obliterated. And then everyone then watching the stream thinks, "Oh, that player is bad." Now, a lot of people are watching because they want either tracking the pops, so they want to see what the population like, what the game is like, all that kind of stuff. They're actually playing the game. So they then get into a game with that player. They say to their team, "Oh, go on this guy. He gets globaled every game." Then the next game he's in with a different player who was in the previous game, and he says the same thing, "Go on this guy." go on this guy. It's one of those like self-fulfilling prophecies. Because you've got a person who's not that good under pressure, they get pressured because they're not very good under pressure, and then that never stops.
But also, it's not okay. So there could be two people just like that, right? And maybe the other guy is worse than the guy that you caught out on stream.
Yeah.
But nobody's going to jump the guy that's worse. They're going to jump the guy that got caught out on stream.
100%.
So it's not. So I'm saying it's not just a self-fulfilling prophecy. It started somewhere. Like maybe I'm way worse. Like if you even breathe on me, dude, I'm dead. Like I slash stuck if you breathe on me. But nobody's ever going to go on me because you're always going to go on this other guy that everybody just keeps saying is bad because they saw on stream.
That's a Yennefer
absolutely.
thing.
Yeah.
That's totally down to what Snave said earlier, much earlier actually. It was the mob mentality. That's what it is. We are basically a massive mob now in SWTOR. If we find somebody that's shit, that word will spread horrendously.
And that was exactly my point. Yeah, that's my point. And that's why it's so negative. The community is so small as it is. Like, you're not going to be able to have enough games.
Don't get me wrong. As I said, I love every person that plays this game individually. But together, we are a bunch of fucking assholes. Like, if we get a whiff of, like, somebody that's a global bait,
we do, yeah.
We all go, we lynch that motherfucker. All right, we're standing outside the gates waiting for him, and we're gonna lynch him. We're gonna hang him to the trees.
That's what
I'm an example.
That's
of
what
this,
I was starting on. Like, there's two different reactions to that. Like, one type of reaction is the player will get the fuck out. Hey, these people are toxic and mean, and I'm out. And there's the other type of guy that feels like, hey, this is my chance to prove that I can become good, and in 2 months from now, people are still gonna go me, and I'm gonna survive.
Yeah, the one person that you can use as a prime example of that, and like actually streamed their transformation, is Shek. He went from a 900 rated player Sin, who played 1,000 games and still was a 900 rated Sin, mocked by the entire community for at least a year, including myself, right? Including most of the people that are probably watching now. Right, he was mocked horrendously. His UI was mocked. Everything about him was literally mocked. Right?
Yeah, no shit's getting real, yeah.
And now he's an average talk. I mean, come on, he's totally fucking improved, right?
I think Shaq's a bit of a weird example because he's got that mindset where he'll sit at his desk for 18 hours, just doing the same thing over and over again. You know,
Junkie, you're not that much different.
No, well, I mean, no, actually, you know what? Actually, I had this discussion with Perp the other night. I've actually regressed. I've got worse at this game, right? I've gone from a 2.4k rated gold jug tank to barely hitting 1200.
Oh, I disagree really hard. You are a lot better now than you were 3 years ago.
I've 100% regressed in every single way. I can't play this game anymore.
I'm going to say I've regressed as well, because then Cersei might say that I haven't, and I'd feel good about myself. So I've regressed to Cersei.
Snake, my honest opinion, you've improved tenfold from how you used to be when you played rank. I honestly
thanks,
think...
buddy.
No, I'm not.
Oh, no, stop! You're gonna make me blush, Junkie. Go on.
I honestly think that you have improved tenfold. Like, you used to be the operative that people would go because it would be, you know, as you say, the bomb mentality. Let's just kill Snave, you know, easy kill, right? But now, like, if we go you first, it's like, for fuck's sake, man, he's run away, he's vanished, he's done this shit, he's done that. Like, my whole team's dead, and Snave's still sitting there waving at me. Like, there's just
all
no
right.
point.
Enough about me. Let's go on to the next topic because we're going to run a bit long. Otherwise, we got to get through quite a lot of stuff here. Team ranked. So team ranked is, I think, it's an all-time low participation. They have increased the rewards, but the rewards are now win-based rather than participation-based. Now, Chris was saying on the Discord the other day, the reason for this is he doesn't want it to be like a farm event type thing where people just go in there and do whatever to get the mats. What are you guys' thoughts on the team ranked situation?
Yeah, I think they went the wrong way with team ranked, and you can see, I mean, proof is in the pudding, so to speak.
Yeah.
I think they should learn their lesson from this recent change. Basically, they improved.
But I mean, it's a weird fucking conversation, isn't it? Because, like, you want to give rewards for team rank, but why are you rewarding people who just aren't trying? You know what I mean?
But what's the goal? The goal was to make the mode popular again, and they
They failed on that,
introduced mods, but not enough, apparently. So mode is still dead. So it wasn't enough. Why don't they just learn
It's not
from
so
that?
that it's not enough, it's that you can't get them because you need to win.
Can I come with a controversial thing about Team Ranked? Okay, right. It's not rewards that is killing Team Ranked. It's balance that's killing Team Ranked. It's meta that's killing Team
I
Ranked.
think.
Oh no!
I think it's just.
I think it is. Like, I'm sorry, but like, okay, look, when it comes to Team Ranked, what classes are you taking in Team Ranked nowadays? PT?
Doesn't matter.
Oh, it does
Person
matter.
of
Like,
team of 4 players forming.
Seriously, can you play hard swap nowadays? Can
I
you
don't know. I haven't tested it.
Can you effectively play hard swap in a tank healer game? Not really, right? Because
I can't tell you. I don't have the experience.
I legit think it's just a lack of interest. It's that simple, in my opinion.
I honestly don't think it's a lack of interest.
I
think if there was more balance to the game, people would actually want to play Team Ranked. I mean, look, don't quote me. I'm not a pro. I've played like 30 games in Team Ranked in the history of Team Ranked, but like from my discussions with people that used to play a lot of Team Ranked, it's not so much rewards. It's not like, oh, I want a great reward or anything like that. It's the balance is shit. I have to be forced to play a certain comp if I want to be competitive.
I think that's usually a veteran player excuse.
Well, no, it's not a veteran play. I think it's a valid excuse. Like,
what's the incentive to play solo ranked?
So I don't play Force, and I don't try to make a Force team. Why?
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't have motivation to prove that I'm good at the moment. 3 years ago, season 9, I had motivation to prove that I'm good, that I'm a good healer, and that's why I wanted to play Force. That's why I wanted to have a good Force team. And that's why I wanted to win with that team in Force. So I played Force. Right now, I don't want to prove that I'm a good healer, so I don't play Force.
It's a lack
of motivation. It has nothing to do with meta. That's just motivation.
Well, dude, I honestly think it's a simple... I think trying to revitalize Team Ranked at this point is just a lost cause because people don't queue solo ranked for rewards. Okay, they queue it because, well, a lot of the people that queue it are trying to hit the top of the leaderboards to say, look at my EP, it's so large, right? Exactly. You don't have a lot of people doing that in Team Rank because people just aren't interested. They don't care. A lot of people don't care. They don't care to put forth the effort to try to make a team, for one, to try to find 3 other players that they want to team with. They don't put forth the effort to try to go to a server that has an active team ranked population because that server can change at any given time, and well, there's multiple other factors with why it would be difficult to go to another server to queue team ranked. And on top of that, the rewards are just like it's like a added insult to injury. I legitimately think it's just a lack of interest from the greater community that doesn't want to do team ranked, and therefore they don't do it.
I think another thing that's quite a large factor is like availability is a big issue. So I can queue solo rank because I know it'll pop. Whereas I can make a team of 4, queue team ranked, and it's never ever going to pop unless I arrange for another team to play. Like there's no randomness in it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you need buddies in the queue to be motivated to build a team to get a pop in a Force.
Like let me give you an example, right? Let's say like Jedi Pedo, Junkie, Cersei, fucking Pete the Cellcath, I don't know, or any of the streamers on Twitch. Let's say they're all doing a PvP stream, and they're all doing team ranked. People will make teams. And then they'll queue up for team ranked. They will. Exactly. They absolutely will. But because it isn't popping, I'm not going to sit there and go, oh, right, okay, boys, let's get together and sit in the queue. And then an hour later, I'm just sniffing my own farts, doing nothing. You know what I mean? It's just not going to happen. So it's one of those problems that because no one is doing it, it's not going to happen. Like they've really got to change up something to get interest in there. And
I mean that's why people always have done like kickball events to make that happen.
There's also a massive problem with making team ranked pop. You make team ranked pop and you populate team ranked, right? Solo ranked dies because everyone's playing team ranked. You can't have both going at the same time.
That's kind of what happened in season 10 because all the good players were playing team ranked, And solo ranked was
exactly.
It was not dead, but it was weird, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like it just becomes like you can't have both at the moment. Like I hate to keep saying it's about population, but there isn't a population.
No, it's a big factor. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there isn't a population to have both going, or at least have both going and competitive.
So does anyone have any ideas on fixing team ranked, or at this point in time is it just not worth doing?
I just don't think it's worth. I don't think it's
mode.
Like unless there's an incentive to queue. Okay, first off, there needs to be an incentive to even want to make a team, right? There's no incentive to do that because there's no infrastructure, there's no guilds for PvP, there's no reason to be in a large group of players for PvP. There's no reason to do that. So if there aren't even guilds for PvP, imagine trying to make a team with people that you don't even know from Adam, right? At least in guilds, you get to know people, you build bonds with people, and then you build a team naturally. That doesn't happen. Like if I'm a brand new player to the game, and there aren't even guilds for PvP, how do you expect me to make a team of 3 other players and meet those players in the first place?
It's a good point.
So until there's the infrastructure for that, it's never going to happen, and it's not worth investing resources into.
So in season 9, we had like a double, two factors, right? It was server merge, and 3 weeks later these mats came in, and it was super powerful mats. It was the only mat, like you needed those mats for any augment, right? So it was a double factor high population. And like, what I think they should do is basically reintroduce mats like that and see how it goes. Maybe the population is too low, but try to copy season 9 in terms of team ranked, and maybe it still doesn't work. But without it, it won't work for sure, like right now.
Yeah, I guess that's the big takeaway, isn't it? Is like whatever they're doing currently is 100% not working.
Yep.
So it needs to be changed. But moving on to the next point then is bolster. So the combat team dev from Srotor made a interesting comment. This was revolving around vote kicking, where they said that kicking people who had 270 gear was misguided because bolster increases their stats to 306. Which is true. I mean, it's factually correct. If I queue up on an ungeared character with augment slots, then I'm going to get bolstered to 306. It won't be optimum, but it's not going to be a huge difference. And if I've got a tactical, then sure. I mean, I'm pretty much on a equal footing to everyone else. The issue with it is the people who haven't spent the time to get the gear are generally really bad. Like that's the. I don't think people are necessarily complaining that the gear is bad. It's just the two things are in combination most of the time.
I mean,
bolster is the best it has ever been, probably. Like you don't need augments, and you're competitive still, but you're of course lacking set bonus and tactical.
I mean, okay, like again, Snape, you just said like you don't bolster's fine, but combine that with a bad play, then that's irrelevant. Like you can't like negate somebody from solo rank because they're a bad player.
I'm not suggesting that. I'm not suggesting that at all.
But what I'm saying is, if bolster's fine, then it's fine. You can't say bolster's fine, but bad players are using it. No, like if bolster's fine, it's fine. If bad players are queuing and getting globaled, then that's bad players queuing and getting globaled.
Yeah, I'm not joking. I've always said this though. Like people would complain, "Oh, we lost because this player is 266 and they got globaled." And I've said this time and time again. Every time someone says that in a game that I'm in, I literally type out, "They would have gotten globaled with 306 gear." Your gear does not matter whether you're going to get globaled or not. It has nothing to do with it.
Well, it does and it doesn't. So it's an indicator. It's an indicator.
But even if you slap 306 on them, Snave, they're still going to get globaled in that same situation.
No. I'm not saying maybe I'm not explaining my point here. I'm not saying that gear is intrinsically linked to skill. What I'm saying is a person who has farmed up 306 gear is more likely to be better than someone who hasn't, because they've played the game more, they've acquired the gear they need, and they've got the min-max and power.
I understand that point, but I don't think that's necessarily true, just because the way to get 306 gear in no way allows you to prepare for ranked in the same, like the method of getting 306 is independent of what it takes to not get globaled in ranked. They're not mutually exclusive at all.
Exactly. I agree with you 100%. But when you're looking at kind of like the cues that players are picking up on, and the factors that they put in when they're picking targets and how their gameplay experience is affected by it, someone in bad gear is percentage-wise far more likely to be a worse player than someone in good gear because they haven't gone through.
And that may be true.
I don't
That may
think
be
that's a
true,
controversial
100%.
opinion. I think that's just
Yeah,
how-
Yeah, I
but
don't.
what's the conclusion you want to hear here? Like, where are you going to?
No, I don't really have any conclusion on you. What I wanted to say is with Bolster, and this goes into the next point, which is restrictions to queue.
Uh-huh.
All right. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, so
I
with the
agree.
restrictions to queue, I think 306 tacticals and set bonus is essential. It's absolutely essential,
I
and that
agree.
should be a gateway to queue.
I disagree. 100% disagree.
Okay, so
Don't
as,
get me
as,
wrong.
as an example, Junkie, a sin with set bonus performs a statistically large amount better than a sin
Yeah,
without
no.
set bonus.
I'm not saying I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I disagree because, like, I did exactly the same thing. I went to NA on my Sage because I reset it because I got a great rating after going 7-3. But so I went to NA, okay, and I queued with 0 gear over an NA. I did 0 damage. I literally got globaled every game. I was basically throwing on NA. Right, we know I'm a bad player anyway, but like I literally couldn't do anything. I've been like, yeah, I agree. Like essentially, with a set piece, I will do more damage. I probably won't get globaled as quick. I'll still get globaled, but like at the same time, like if you're a good player, it doesn't matter if you have gear or not.
But this isn't about good players.
Yeah, I know, but like I'm saying, what I'm trying to say is, if you're a bad player, my gear is not going to help me much. All right,
But it will help you. Period.
No, it's going to help me. You're right, but it's not going to help me much. That's the thing, right? When I went to NA, I was still doing the same shit I did on EU. It's just, unfortunately, I wasn't doing as much damage while I was doing the same shit I was doing on EU, purely because of the fact that I don't have the optimal stats, I don't have the tactical, I don't have, the right things, etc., etc. I don't think you should lock people out just because they don't have.
So there's 2 points I wanna raise on the lockout thing because I don't really hear these being mentioned a lot. The first one is I understand the mentality that you pay your sub, if you want to queue you should be allowed to, and I don't disagree with it. But the other 3 people in the game as well pay their sub, and their game experience is being ruined by viewers. So at what point in time are you going to prioritize 3 people over 1? Because I don't think it's good to have one person fucking up the game for 3 others.
Yeah. Okay. So like this kind of ties into like the whole Lisbeth getting queue blocked, right? Because like you're taking one person out of the game to save 7 other people having less fun in the game, right? But like at the same time, you guys also want more people to play. And now,
but you want people to play who are.
Yeah, but Craig, just listen to me for a second. Like,
Go
the more
ahead.
people to play, the more effective brackets become.
Yeah.
And the more effective brackets become, the more Lisbeth plays with other Lisbeth type players. The more, I don't get in your high tier games because I'm not high tier, right?
That's correct, yeah.
Like, if you start saying, well, that guy's really, really bad, let's keep him
that's
out of the queue. No,
I think-
wait. That guy's really, really bad, so let's keep him out of the queue to save the other 7 people.
I don't think that's what we're saying, though.
Well, that is basically what you just said.
It's not, though.
You want
It's
to
not.
remove one person from being able to queue to save
No.
the other 3 people.
You always bring this back to the
No.
Lisbeth. Don't use Lisbeth as an example because that's an exception.
Okay, look, I will use myself as an excuse, okay, right? I want to play solo ranked, but I can't be bothered to go get 306, okay? I really can't be bothered to go do flashpoint after flashpoint. I'm just going to queue and I'll get gear via PvP eventually, yeah? But I'm still going to play solo ranked because I want to play solo ranked.
But why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you do that in regs? Would you join with no gear? Would you try?
I don't like playing regs. I want to do ranked.
So that's
I
like
want
me
to do an
saying.
arena.
That's like me saying I don't like doing flashpoints. I'm going to, if I could, I'm going to randomly queue for a nightmare mode operation. Would you do that? No.
Yeah. I mean, look, if you could queue for it, you probably, I guarantee people would.
But that's what we're discussing, isn't it? Whether you should be.
That's the flaw, though, right? That's the flaw. You shouldn't be able, like, there's a reason that you can't randomly queue for nightmare mode operations. There's a reason for that.
You can't queue for nightmare operations in any gear. All right, you can't queue for it.
Exactly. That's my point.
What I'm saying is, okay, look. What I'm saying is, if I have 0 gear and I've got 7 other friends in the game, or 7 other random people that I pay to take me through, or whatever, they will still take me through that nightmare content, regardless. Okay, like,
and it's agreed upon by 7 other people, right? But what you're trying to do is enforce 7 other people who don't agree, who don't consent to having somebody who's not even at the minimum gear, let alone set bonus, but at the minimum gear rating of 306, which anybody that like sniffs paint can do. And you're basically saying, fuck 7 other people, I'm willing.
Well,
like
look,
you specifically just admitted that you knew that you did less damage than if you had gear. And that was okay. You still queued anyway. Like, you were willing to.
Even you admitted, like a couple of minutes ago, right?
Uh-huh.
A person that gets globaled in 286
Would get global without gear, correct?
They're going to get globaled in 306 gear.
But we're arguing different things, Junkie. This is what I'm saying. I'm saying I want 306 Junkie in my queue, even if he's garbage. I don't want 200 eye level Junkie in my queue. It's the same player, but one player says I at least want to equalize as much as I can as far as gear, and then it's just down to skill. 200 eye level Junkie is saying I don't even care about trying to equalize the gear. I'm just going to queue, and I know that I'm going to do less damage, and it's just whatever. You guys just have to deal with it. That's what you're saying.
I think I'm just going to agree to disagree, because otherwise we're just going to go back and forth.
All right, well, we'll agree to disagree on that one. But the other factor for it as well is that, we can all agree that there's been a fairly prolific problem with trolls in the queue, whether they throw in trading, like whatever way you want to look at it. And the higher gear requirement would at least make that more difficult, at a very minimum.
Yeah. To a degree, yeah, it would make it a little bit more.
Because with this Sea Junkie, what I'm trying to do is I'm not trying to stop people from being able to do it. Like that's never. I don't think that's anyone's intention. It's just in a video game, you are expected to have a certain level before you compete in certain game modes. Whether that's story mode, hard mode, nightmare mode, whether that's solo rank.
I understand. Gear is a factor in a lot of MMOs and a lot of games. Gear is a factor, and it should be.
It's a very, very large factor. And when you combine that with the fact that you were one experience, which you were doing, is negatively impacting everyone else, I just think it's unfair at that point.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're 100% right, and that's on BioWare for allowing people to do so, right? It's not that.
But that's what we say they shouldn't. Like, that's the point of the conversation.
Yeah. I mean, to a degree, yes. I guess I will agree. I will concede. Yes. I will. There you go. We got there eventually.
We're not trying to beat you into submission, you Junkie. It's just,
no. I get your point and I understand it. So that's why.
And gearing is pretty easy, but the big juicy topic, and I get the juicy one is coming up a little bit later, I guess. But the second juicy one is kicking players. So I know, Junkie, you've got some very strong opinions on this one. So let's get into it.
Honestly, vote kick just needs to be removed. The whole option needs to be removed, and I know there's a lot of people that will massively disagree.
I don't think anyone here is going to disagree with you, to be honest with you.
But at the same time, like the reason why I say that it should be removed is a player should never be in charge of moderating a game.
Yeah.
Because our emotions dictate how we feel about said player. And I will use myself as prime example. And Cerasi was in this game when I did this, right? You know how strongly I'm against vote kicking. I preach it all the fucking time. I was in a bad mood that day. I was in a horrendously bad mood. This guy.
So you kicked your healer.
This guy.
Or you wanted to.
Yeah. This guy got globaled twice in 2 rounds, and I was like, "Fuck you, you piece of shit! Stop fucking queuing. Get out of my queue. You don't belong in rank. Go fucking do flashpoints or some shit like that. I'm gonna vote. I'm gonna stealth out, and I'm gonna wait until my team vote kick you." And they didn't do it, so I ended up slucking. But like, that's my emotions taking control and moderating a game that I shouldn't be doing. Right? If there are trolls, if there are throwers, if there are win traders, etc., report them, and it's down to BioWare to do their job and remove them from the queue.
I think Cerasi summed it up very eloquently on the Discord, where he said, what did he say, Cerasi? Something like, leaving this decision in charge in the hands of the retarded rank community is stupid.
Like, I know that's basically what I said earlier already. Like, I said ranked players are generally retarded. Because of the reason I said earlier, for some reason, it's always the bad or the toxic behavior that's cooler than being nice. So people growing into this community will always, for some reason, adapt the toxic behavior, and vote kick is just the next step. Like as long as you have chat, there will always be flames, there will always be insult, and new players will always gonna be like mobbed out of the game mode, right? You cannot stop that from happening, but you can definitely take away vote kick. And
I think increasing the requirements,
stop that from happening.
Increasing the requirements to queue and removing vote kick, to me, is a no-brain decision. Because from what I've seen of vote kick so far, the only good use that come of it is when you got like people, like when Jeezy was queuing and he's throwing games and that kind of stuff, you can kind of police it to a degree. But that came at such a huge cost. You know, when you hear about all the people on Starforge who were like kicking players because they don't like them, kicking players because they said something on stream they didn't agree with. Chili got kicked the other day because he was tank tunneling. He didn't do the tactic that they wanted, so they kicked him from the game. It's
something I always like try to tell people when there is like trolls and people like Stain and Kiritana and so on. Like the more attention you give them, like basically the check move, right? Talk about them on stream non-stop, give them all the attention they want, insult them as much, like every second you have on your stream time. It makes the situation worse all the time. I also told Layala the same thing back in season 10. Like, stop going. Of course, what they are doing is wrong and bad, and they shouldn't. But stop, like, fighting them so hard, because the more you fight them, the more they will do it.
I agree and disagree, but I disagree on like a specific thing. So we use Stain as the example, where he was like throwing, using bots in the queue and second accounts and that kind of stuff. I think talking about that kind of behavior is good, because it spreads the awareness that this kind of stuff is going on in the game, which increases the likelihood that they're going to be, reported for that reason. But I firmly believe in just report and move the fuck on. Like, Rambo, report and move bloody on. Rambo the fuck out of them.
It'd be great if that would work better than it does.
Well, to be fair, they have got a lot better. But, I mean, look, last season they reset and they queue-locked a bunch of players. And I noticed, like, literally overnight, the queues got substantially better. Like, way the fuck better. Because the issue with it is, and I guess maybe it affects someone like me more, because I know I'm targeted by these people a lot more, is you start, like, chasing ghosts. Like, someone in the game is playing bad, you think, oh, that person is intentionally throwing, when really they just had a bad day.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that becomes the culture.
Not only that, it's also like, once again, sorry that I'm using Shaq here, but he drove me crazy, like, doing that all the time. Every single Jug or Guardian tank in the game, it was always fucking Kiritana. Every single one. Every single one got called Kiritana for no reason whatsoever, no indicator.
I'm the same as you, Tracy. Like, I would go into streams and, like, every time, like, it wouldn't even just be Shaq stream. It would be, like, Snave stream, everyone's stream. And, like, you'd all be like, oh, this guy's got to be Stain. Oh, this guy's got to be Kiritana. And I'm like, maybe it's just somebody that's actually bad at the game.
But see, this is why it's such a huge problem, though, what those players doing. And that's why it's important that people report, and it's important they see action is taken. Like, it's important that happens. And that's what was missing previously. And I think that's why it was so frustrating. Is like, okay, so before I became the golden snitch, right? And I mean, Aza's got a lot more credit than me in this front, but before I started, like, beating the fucking drum about it and emailing them fucking 20 times a day with reports, nothing was fucking happening. I would ask people, will you please report them? Will you please report them? And they'd all say the same thing. Everyone said the same thing. I've been writing reports for 3 years and nothing has happened. I'm not going to bother doing it again. Now, I know that's a bad attitude, because obviously nothing's going to change if you don't do it, but you can certainly, like, understand why they have that mentality. But now they're actually taking action. Really, you need to just be reporting, because they are taking action. Like, they are. It's not a debate. People are being queue-locked, people are being permit. It is happening. Just fucking report them.
And I'll be honest, dude, I'm a part of that camp. Like, I've never vote kicked anyone. I just don't do it. But I have been in the camp where, people will be like, report them, and then I finish the match, I just log out for the day. That's I'm done. I don't play the game anymore. And then I play tomorrow, and I don't even bother reporting, because at that point, right, after putting in reports for, like, you know how you can see your tickets. My ticket thing was full when I used to actively play and actually care.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, yeah, like none of these tickets are all still open after months. No one's even read them or responded to them. I didn't even get like an automated bot response saying, hey, we saw this, we care, blah, blah. So I just started reporting people. And then like whenever people would piss me off or do something stupid or somebody was throwing in the queue, I just log off. I'm like, all right, well, I'm done for the day. I'll try again tomorrow. And it was that simple. Now, I never went as far as kicking people, but in my opinion, even if they don't add a 306 lockout, item level lockout, they should still get rid of it.
100%. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, of course. Like, that's not even a question.
Yeah.
So we're all
I
in
don't know
agreement.
why it's a debate.
Get
like,
rid of
it
vote
feels
kick.
to me it's only Prom and nobody else.
Well, rip. So it's no one then.
Yeah, but like it was never anybody else that defended vote kick, was it?
No.
I don't think so.
No, there
Well-
was a lot. No, like back in like even last season when I was preaching that vote kick need to be kicked, there was a lot of people that would tell me I'm wrong and it should be in the game. And how do we get rid of fly hackers? How do we get rid of trolls?
Yeah.
How do we get rid of throwers?
Yeah, but the problem that I got with the
Some,
junkie, right?
some people still had the idea of the self-regulating rank community. And that's just bullshit. That's just straight up bullshit.
It's a nice
It doesn't
stream,
work.
but the issue that I've got with vote kick, right, is again, I don't hear this being talked about much. It's not that vote kick can't be an effective tool. I think if the community worked together, it could be. It's that it isn't fucking effective. You vote kick someone, they get locked for 5 minutes. You end the game, which normally takes another 2 or 3 minutes, and then the next game, they're back in the fucking same game with you anyway. Like, it doesn't do anything. That's what I mean. It doesn't do anything.
Even if a vote kick locked a person for an entire day, it would still be horrendous. It would be a horrendous thing to have in the game. It should never be in PvP.
No, I agree. So
At all.
we can move on from kicking players. It should be removed. The
Yep.
council has spoken. I should have a gavel to hammer here. Hang on, I got a cup. All right, here we go. Leaderboards are still broken. I think they've been down for 2 weeks. I believe Chris said they're working on them ASAP, but I don't think there's anything else to be added on there at the moment. The reason that we are looking into the leaderboards quite keenly at the moment, I guess, well, I am anyway, is to do with the next 2 points. So the first one is the unbanning of people from last season. How do you guys feel about the unban from season 12?
Can I just make my point really quickly?
Sure.
'Cause I really need
Of
to go
course.
for a pee. I really need to go for a pee, so I'm just going to say my shit and go. The unbanning, to a point, I didn't care. Right? I actually didn't care that the unbanned Stain, the unbanned Kiatana. Like, don't get me wrong, I know for a lot of you, they've been a royal pain in the ass. You know, they've influenced all of your games, they fucked up everything. But me personally, I don't care. I just want to play the game, right? I honestly just want to play the game. I don't play like the rest of you. I don't play to get top 3. I don't play to get rating or anything like that. I play just because I like arenas. I like playing 4v4s. But at the same time, I understand why you guys wanted them out because of what they were doing, the shenanigans they were causing, the frustration it was causing all of you. Okay, so that's my point. I'm sorry. I love you all.
All right. So just to touch on Junkie's point on this one, right? I'm not necessarily against the unbanning because I think being permanently banned from the queue is quite a severe penalty. What I wish they'd done is wait maybe 1, 2, 3 months before doing it so the season has actually started, because then you can try and see whether there's an impact on the quality of the games or the type of games that come out. And then once they are unbanned, their account should be monitored for behavior more so than other players.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Junkie on this one. I mean, personally, I've never had any issues with any players in the game. I've never had anyone like actively throwing me. I've had people like make.
Let me just explain the story to you then. For the people who were queue locked, who had done so for win trading, queuing with multiple accounts, so they'd play against themselves on another account. So it's basically win trading and throw in. What they did as well to amp this up is they would target specific players who they didn't like, and they would threaten them. They would say they did the dig out special, like, you know, they would say, if you don't do what I say, I will throw on you for the rest of the season. So they were threatening and harassing
I've
players.
I mean, that's the Stain in my eyes. I'm gonna throw your whole family. That's Stain.
I've seen people say stuff like that, but when that happens and they actually do start throwing, like just in general, I just turn the game off and do something else. So I've never had I've never actively beat my head against that wall because it just seemed kind of counterintuitive.
But it's not
that
just
being said,
throwing,
if these
you gotta
people,
understand that.
I know, I'm just saying, if these people are being unbanned, I mean, I've never been one for like, If they learn their lesson, then let them queue again. If they are doing the same thing, then ban them again. Like I think
Yeah.
it's kind of like that simple.
That's-
It's not.
that's
It doesn't
also
have to
my-
be too difficult.
That's also my road. Like,
No,
if
I
they
agree.
do it again, ban them again. But what I kind of find weird, or what I don't really understand, is why don't they purge old rewards?
I so agree with that. 100%.
I'm just to I'm gonna use Ayana as an example again, because like he's like, you know, he's just super young, and I know I cannot use that excuse for everything, but he basically gets baited into those
Yeah.
shady situations, and where he probably doesn't want to end in the first place, but he gets there because he doesn't get what's happening. But what he was doing, literally, he was standing next to me in my stream on Fleet while being Q banned, basically posing with his like season 10 top 3 and his wings. But you know, he's Q banned, and I don't understand why they just don't purge old rewards from people that ruined the game mode.
I
Why
100%
not?
agree with that. 100%.
Like I just do that. Like I would feel sorry for him in that case, because like the reason why Ayana got banned is essentially Stain, and he just, you know, he was threatened, so he agreed. Maybe he did more shady stuff in the past, pretty sure, but in that case it was essentially Stain that got him banned.
I mean, look, if you're going to cheat at a game, just get banned.
Yeah, exactly. If you cheat, get banned.
I don't think it's beyond.
I mean, like, it happens in every other MMO that you can think of, right? If you're a cheat, you just get banned from the game. Like, there is no second chances. There is no, oh, we're going to take away some of your rewards. There is no, like, we're going to lock you from queue. It's like, you cheated, get out of the game. And that's it, final word. Like, I don't know why. Again, like I said, I didn't care that people got unbanned. But at the same time, like, if you're cheating at a game, just get out of the game. Like, you're not wanted by anybody. Like, nobody wants you there because you literally cheated, right?
But I like the idea of second chance in that way more. Sorry.
Oh yeah, like
so do I.
I know.
What I think is better is like we are. Let's say we are back at mid-season 12. Yeah, Stain gets banned, gets Q-locked for the rest of the season, and his account gets purged of every single seasonal reward he has ever gotten.
Yeah, anything
Season
ranked
13,
gone. Yeah.
new start at 0. If he cheats again, ban again.
I mean, there's a lot of people that have cheated numerous seasons in this game. I mean, we can use Lyala as a massive example. I mean, Lyala is perma-banned from the game now, right? I think I understand that. Lyala's perma-banned.
Every account he creates is basically banned after 2 weeks.
Exactly. So, like, Lyala cheated for multiple seasons. Stain cheated for multiple seasons. Kirtana cheated for multiple seasons. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, Ayana, you know, is very impressionable. I'm using Ayana as an example because you do. Like, Ayana is a young child. Yeah, a young child. I'm going to say child. I don't care if he takes offense. All right. And he's very impressionable, as any child is at that age, right? They're all impressionable. You know, they all like want to be on the in crowd. They want to be with everybody else. You know, they want to be popular and so on. And they made a mistake. But at the same time, like, that's our fault for allowing that shit to happen in the game. Or it's not actually our fault. It's BioWare's fault for allowing that shit to happen in the game, right? Because if those people were perma-banned, Ayana wouldn't be getting in with the crowds that literally win trades, all right? Like, if Lyala was banned, perma-banned, the first time Lyala did it, then I don't think many more people will be trying to win trades to get it because they know that they're perma-banned from the game now. Yeah. I mean... Like, so, like, I know you guys are up for second chances and whatever, but if you give second and third chances to these people that are consistently cheating over and over again, then you're just telling the community as a whole, well, okay, you can do it, but we might take away some rewards, we might Q-lock you for a season, but next season you can come back and do it all over again.
What about a fixed duration Q-lock?
That's a big difference. You know, Stain win traded in season 10 and got top 3. Then in season 11 and 12, he did whatever, he got Q banned, and season 13 he comes back with his season 10 top 3. Like that shouldn't be a thing.
Again, like it's irrelevant top 3 or not. Just ban the guy completely. Just get them out of the game. Like
I'm just saying it's a big difference. Rewards purge and no rewards purge.
I mean, like
it's a big difference.
Like, okay, so second chance. Okay, let's talk about second chance here. So, like, if you cheat, your account is banned. Your second chance is you get to make a second account. That's your second chance. Ban evasion. No. That's your second chance, right? Is that you make a second account, and now if you cheat again on that second account, right, you've already lost everything anyway. So now you don't have any top 3s. You don't have anything on the second account, right? If you cheat again on that second account, then you're IP banned, right? Like Lyala
I mean, I get that. I'm gonna agree with you there.
Right?
If you want a second chance, you can also just create a new account.
Yeah. You don't like just say to someone cheating, okay, well, we're just going to take away this reward from that season, and then you can carry on that account you've been playing all your lifetime. You ban a whole entire account and say, you want a second chance, you go do everything from scratch all over again. You do it again, then you're IP banned, and then you're never coming back to the game ever again. It's that simple. Like, I mean,
it's actually not a bad idea.
I mean,
I think it's a bit...
you guys want people to have shit removed, but that's, I mean, okay, look, if I'm going to cheat at a game, I'm going to cheat, right? And, like, yeah, you might remove my rewards and say, oh, that's fake, I don't care. But, like, I can still cheat, again, once my punishment is up. Like, I mean...
Question is, how big is your incentive if you run into the risk of getting banned again?
I mean... It goes down to the mentality of the individual, I guess, cheating. But some people just can't help themselves but, like, cheat because they want the biggest reward. They want everything, and they have this self-entitled feeling that they must have it regardless of the rules and regulations anyway. So, like, as I say, you just take everything away. Just take it all away. Permaban the entire account. They can come back for a second chance. Yeah, sure,
so basically what you're saying is, because the problem with that is, as it currently stands, if you permaban and you make a new account, you can be banned again for ban evasion. Yeah.
Okay.
It should be a separate type of ban where your account is banned, but you are allowed to make a new account.
Yeah. Okay. So what I'm saying is like when you get banned from SWTOR, it should just be an account ban. It shouldn't be an IP ban. It shouldn't be like a ban evasion like kind of ban. It should just be like your account is gone. Right? Just delete your account. Right? That's what they've done. They haven't banned you per se. They've just deleted your entire account. You come back the second time, you make another account, you level everything up again, you do all the mandatory shit. You do it again, then you're IP banned like Lyala, and you can't make another account ever again. Then.
Yeah, that's not a bad shout. All right, so can we get into the juicy drama now, please? And I'm going to have to use the word allegedly a lot, apparently, because Cersei and Cray are pussies. So there is currently a large amount of drama going on, boys, and I've been wanting to talk about this all fucking night, so I can't fucking wait. Oh! The end of last season saw a lot of back and forth from the guys on Starforge and some other players revolving around the top 3 titles. Now, as we all know, top 3 has been a shit show ever since its creation, with people always doing a bunch of bullshit to get it. Some people insist they're doing it legitimately, but a lot of people will say who have got top 3 have had it under dubious circumstances. So to get you up to date, what we believe has happened, allegedly has happened, is that enough of a disclaimer for you two guys?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, okay. Is multiple top 3 players from the Starforge server, it's a group I like to call the Prum Boys, have been permanently banned for alleged cheating, Q manipulations at the end of Season 12 in order to get their top 3 titles. The best thing that's come out of this is all the memes that were created yesterday, because goddamn, they were absolutely hilarious. And shout out to Aza for doing this photo KGB work in reporting them, because the amount of effort he put into that was absolutely fucking colossal. But what are you guys' thoughts on this? And we'll go to Cersei first of all.
I mean, what do I think? People got banned, probably for a good reason, and that's a good thing. It's weird timing. Why 2 weeks after top 3s are shipped? Why 4 weeks after the new season started? 2 months after the last season ended?
Well,
I don't
that
know.
might be a
I
good
don't get
question,
that.
but can we all take a second to appreciate that they did ban them at this point in time? Because after they
Yeah,
got the top 3
that's great,
titles,
obviously.
they started doing the whole making fun of Aza. Oh my god, I can't believe you made all these reports, because they thought they got away with it. And for me, there is something absolutely poetic that you have these people who went out of their way. They obviously did something, because you don't accidentally get permabanned. Yeah, it's
Exactly.
Not, yeah, something went down, regardless of what it is. And they showed no remorse. They showed no hint of anything. In fact, they rubbed it in the face of the people who were reporting them. They made videos. They made all these memes trying to mock them, and then they got permanently banned. So I personally think this is peak Schadenfreude for me, Sarah C, to use your mother tongue. It is absolute joy in someone else's misfortune, purely because of how they conducted themselves, whether it's from the vote-kicking shenanigans, whether it's from the making fun of players who were trying to point out their bad behavior. I'm glad that it happened.
I mean, I totally agree with you. Like, of course, I'm always curious, so I talked to 2 people of this group, or I chatted to 2 of them on Discord.
Mm-hmm.
Until I found out that they were strictly lying to me, so I stopped the conversations basically. But yeah,
What
now
were
I'm
they lying
thinking,
about?
hey, huh?
If it's a private conversation, obviously you don't have to say. But what were they lying about?
Well, basically, I was just trying to get as much information as possible. What about this guy? What did this guy do? Also, did you guys come over to EU and through? And who is this guy? Who's this guy? What did that guy do? And so on. And both were very long conversation and very open. Like, give me the impression they are very open to me. And then there are like 2-3 points where I know for proven fact they are lying to me in my face. And I'm like, yeah, get the fuck out, dude. Get fucked.
Kreia, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, so this is what I'll say. I've personally never had issues with Prum being like toxic to me, so I always thought that he was, kind of a good guy or whatever. And he private messaged me quite a bit talking about incentives to getting new players into the rank community and this and the other, and basically like a community-driven person. So from that regard, I'd always kind of respected him. But then I saw, like you mentioned, like what him and a couple of the other people in Educated Squad, that was the guild name they were in, I saw what they were doing as far as like on SF like months ago when I was playing and I got vote kicked multiple times for no reason, just because. And then I also saw how they were talking to Acer in the Discord, basically taunting him like, yeah, we got away with it in so many words. Like, I mean, some of those screenshots are pretty damning, especially when you consider like what they end up getting banned for. When you go back and look at some of those screenshots, it's just kind of like, so they're basically just flaunting it in people's faces blatantly because I guess they thought they got away with it. So, I mean, from like, if it's true, then I guess they got what they deserved, and that kind of sucks because it seemed like Prum was somebody who actively wanted to grow the community, like he was doing the whole kickball thing and this and the other, but at the same time, like if he actually did win trade and do all this other scummy shit, then I mean, it's kind of, I don't really understand. I don't get it, I guess. Like, why would he...
I think I can explain it to you.
I like to use the term, how do these guys sleep well at night?
Like, it doesn't make sense
How
to
do
me.
they
It's
do
a
it?
game, I guess.
It doesn't make sense to me to try to actively grow the community and then sabotage the community at the same time. That just doesn't,
let me explain to you my take on this, because I had quite a few interactions with Prum. And, well, not quite a few, I guess. I had some in various different formats. And it always seemed to me that he had an impression of himself. He had like a view in his mind of how he was in the game, like the figure he was in the game, how good he was, and what he was therefore entitled to because of that. There was a dueling tournament where he cheated. He broke the rules. Whether it was intentional or unintentional is irrelevant. Rather than just saying, I broke the rules and just accepting it, he had a whole argument about how effective the cheat was, whether it was actually going to make that big of a difference anyway. Accused the person, the person who he cheated against, made fun of them, saying that it was stupid, they were going to lose anyway. That they have this kind of like self-image where they put themselves on a pedestal. This is just the opinion I've got from listening to them talk on Discord, in game, and their performance with everything else. When you then factor in that he became like the moral sheriff of the kicking
I didn't agree with that. I'll be honest, I didn't agree with that either. And like, I don't. Okay, so I'm not like a big person into drama, you know. So like, if stuff is going down, I just stay out of it, or if I try not to get in the middle of things. But it did seem like it does seem a little hypocritical to kind of like some of the things he was saying to me in DMs as far as how much positivity it seemed like he was trying to spread, but then like I was getting randomly vote kicked on Starforge just for queuing. Like there was no particular reason. It's not like nobody had even said anything in the chat. There was no warning. It was no, hey, go on this target. It was nothing. It was literally just vote kick. That on top of like some of the stuff that he said, some of his philosophies around vote kick in general, it seemed like he kind of saw himself as like a one-man sheriff, so to speak, with the quickest vote kick in the West, which was kind of dumb. And I didn't agree with that, and I may have even said that to him. I can't recall if we had a conversation or not, but I mean, I've never agreed with vote kicking, so it's kind of good that there won't be much of that anymore. At least I hope not. But I really do think like the dumbest thing about this whole thing is just what they were saying in the Discord, dude. Like if you're gonna cheat, then just shut up about it and try to fly under the radar. But to actively cheat and then try and do the whole NA is better than EU thing and drum that up, because you saw them drumming that up really large.
Well, it wasn't just that.
Only
they,
for
they
them.
were like
Only for them. Well, I'm saying they were doing that and then using like their titles as proof and all this, only for them to later all get banned in one fell swoop was kind of like the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
They were
like,
targeting specific players to go after is the thing that I didn't agree with, because it was speaking of mob mentality, that's where it kind of came in. They were like making fun of Aza for the fact that he even reported them, and I know Scooby was very upset because he was banned. I mean, I spoke to Scooby a few times and he's always seemed like a nice guy to me as well. But I think he just caught, like, fairly Iana-esque, just got caught up in it. And
yeah, and I want to say too, like, I know some. So I kind of find some in certain circles, and talk to certain players. And based on some of the players that I've spoken to, dude, some of the players that got permed for win trading were legitimately good players. Like, they're really good players in team ranked. Yeah. They had really high, really good performance in team ranked scenarios. Like, they've had apparently top 3s from previous team ranked seasons, and it just seems strange to.
I don't think this is strange. I don't think it's strange at all. I think it's purely an entitlement issue with them, where they felt that they deserved these things because of how they view themselves in the game and in the community. They also probably thought other people are going to cheat to get top 3, so the only way that we can do it semi-legitimately, because we are the true top 3, is to cheat. I know it doesn't make sense. I'm not arguing that it makes sense. I'm just trying to explain the decision.
Yeah, I was just saying even that wouldn't make sense to me, purely because they have top 3s from team rank, which they could just do again. There's nothing stopping them from getting top 3s in team rank. So it seems weird to me at least, if they've shown that they can get top 3s in team rank because they're legitimately good players, why would you then risk that all?
I don't know, man. Maybe one day Prum will come on and he can explain to us. He's more than welcome to join whenever he wants. We can have a nice chat about it. But Junkers, any thoughts on this? Whatever.
Well, Prum, Jags. That's all I gotta say. Sorry, boys. That's it.
I mean, it's like
I also want to say too, like I only personally know like 2 of the people that got perm banned and I have actively spoken to them. The rest are just like it's hearsay for me, so I don't want to like try and. That's why I was saying using allegedly, because I don't want to impose my opinion on people that I don't know personally. I only know 2 of them and have had conversations with them personally in the past, and that's why it just strikes me as strange that those players would do something so nefarious when some of them are good players. It's just a weird thing to do. But yeah.
The only person I'm genuinely shocked and actually like kind of upset about is Scooby, because I really do like that guy. He's genuinely been like an upstanding like guy that every time I've talked to him, I played on NA for a very, very long time before I came to EU, and I hung out with him a hell of a lot on NA. And I consider him to be a really good player, and I'm really saddened that he had to go to like I agree with Snave. He's probably been Iana, into doing what they need.
Well, apparently what happened with Scooby was he was using either an alt account or an alt character to take part in the kind of the trading. Based on the report that I saw, and I didn't see the whole thing, but based on what I saw, what they were doing was off-peak queuing with 8 players. So it's soft throwing, I guess. You can always make the excuse.
I feel like they probably thought they wouldn't get caught for one. But
At the end of the day, he cheated. He's a scumbag for doing it, but I still like the guy. You know, like I've never had any issues with Scooby. Like I've had a lot of issues with Prum, Prum being Prum. You know, I'm the greatest fucking operative to ever play this fucking game. I'm a fucking great player. You know, you're a fucking spastic mate and you're shit. I'm glad you're banned. Same with Jags too. So you know, happy days. Sweet.
All right.
I mean, I'm gonna go with the like careful career route here, but from what I've heard as well is like the basically 4 players, like to name them, Brand, Mel, Prum, and Scooby. Basically, these 4 are especially mad about their ban. It seems like they were probably more on the helping side and not as much on the receiving side. Like I could get that maybe, you know, their top 3s are not traded, but they helped Jax and the other guys.
Yeah.
So, and that's why
Well,
I could
Cersei,
get that.
if I help you rob a bank and you take all the money, I still helped you rob a bank.
Yeah, exactly.
Analogies, boys. Analogies.
Exactly.
Get the fuck in there. So the interesting follow-on from this is what happens to those now vacant top 3 titles. I know that Chris said they're looking into it. Maybe they're going to give them to the 4th player.
This has happened. This has happened in the past. I specifically remember, man, what season was that? Maybe 5 or 6, when a player had win traded all the way to the top, and they got banned, and then it went to the 4th player. So if it's anything based on precedent, whoever was in 4th will get a happy surprise in the mail, probably within the next couple of weeks.
I look forward to my top 3, by the way.
A happy surprise.
But that's like the most important thing, right? For every other person that plays ranked and cares about, you know, the tiers and rewards, is like, hey, the cheaters are out. Can please the deserved people now get their rewards.
And I want to tell you guys a quick story, right? I was going to wrap up this topic by posting the video that Jags posted, where it's all of them walking down the stairs in Alderaan to the song You Got Debated. But I just gone to it and this video unavailable. This video is private.
Oh, someone downloaded.
I mean, we've all seen the screenshots though, right? Of like the Council of 12.
Yeah, the Council of 12 taken down by one fucking Russian guy with too much spare time. God bless
one
him.
flame-sweeping Polish guy.
I got nothing
Polish,
but joy. I got nothing but joy about like copy striking every Jags YouTube video I could find. Like I think I copy striked him about 5 times, and I fucking loved every minute of it because I fucking detest that guy. But anyway, never mind.
All right, so then the next, tell us how you really feel, Janky.
I mean, dude, like he macros on a fucking PT, dudes. How are you that bad that you need a macro on PT? It's one button.
I don't think they're bad players. I don't think anyone's ever accused them of being terrible, but a cheater is a cheater.
He's fucking awful. He's awful and a cheater and a scumbag and
All
a
right.
piece of shit.
So we're going to go on to the last topic now because we are running slightly long, which is the community. And we've gone over this a little bit so far about dealing with new and returning players. But I wanted to talk specifically about the Steam changes. Have you really noticed a massive influx of people from the changes to Steam?
Yes. On Starforge, yes.
Starting planets here.
Can I go first? With
Yeah,
this?
yeah.
Right. So this actually, like with the Steam thing, I think it, like to a degree, it points out BioWare's massive flaw is their game, and they need to fix it because. Go back 3 weeks ago.
There was a lot more.
There was 30,000 people logged into SWOTOR. 30,000. I checked last week. The other day, 6,000.
Yeah, I definitely want to say
lost 24,000 players in 3 weeks.
The Steam thing has been great because you can actively see the numbers now. It's no longer like a guesstimate. Yeah. You can look and you can see.
But we've lost 24,000 players in 3 weeks.
I mean, that's kind of a drop off as expected, but that is a colossal drop off.
But don't get me wrong. Like some people are going to get to like their free to play cap and like, okay, I'm done now. I don't really want to sub to this game. That's understandable. But to lose 24,000 players in a space of 3 weeks says that there's some fundamental flaws with the game.
But what do you think the problems are? Because I mean, so let me give you my experience leveling the character. I ran into virtually no bugs when I was leveling.
Okay, but the
It's
problem.
not an MMO,
Okay,
dude.
okay, yeah. Cray has hit it on the head there. It's not an MMO, right?
All
When
the
you
stuff
level,
is,
when
dude,
you
you don't see
level,
another player.
but when you level now, right, from 1 to 75, how many people do you need to interact with to get from 1
Exactly.
to 75?
0.
Exactly.
How many people do you need to interact with in a fucking war zone or like doing a heroic? You don't need to interact with anybody. You don't need to do anything. There's group finder, for every, if you want to do a flashpoint, you don't even have to speak to those people in there either. And like when it comes to heroics, your companion's so fucking strong. All you have to do is auto attack one mob once, and your companion will take out the entire fucking crew. Like you don't have to do anything like that. It's not an MMO. It's just like I'm just gonna go in, push one button, and AFK for the next 20 minutes, and the game's done. Sweet.
Any thoughts, Cersei?
On Steam.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's good for the game, but it's kind of like what Junkie says. The game. There is a reason why the game's population is dropping and continue to do so, and Steam doesn't change that.
Yeah, we can blame the community as much as we want, and I know I'm a massive person that likes to blame the community for everything, especially when it's PvP related. But at the end of the day, the community doesn't keep players in the game or fuck people off. Like 24,000. I don't think me.
No, that's very true.
I don't think
those people didn't even. Yeah, those people didn't even interact with the community though.
Exactly.
Those are people that they didn't even make it that far.
Yeah,
Do you know what I think the
don't
problem was, Junkie? You did a stream, right? And you didn't put
Yeah.
Steam Players Welcome in your title.
Well, dude, I put Mong's Welcome. Like, come on, it's the same thing, right? Mong's Steam players, kind
What's
of
the
same
difference?
thing. Exactly.
Wow. Wow, I've just noticed that Mickey's got a character called Mickey Sprays. Kappa Pride.
Wow, Mickey.
Yeah. Well, that's everything, guys. That's all the topics that I wanted to go over. Does anyone have anything else they wanted to bring up?
Nope. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Chris, you're doing a good job, man, but you need to, you need more experience, man. You got to keep it up, but you need first-hand experience, dude. Just hop in there. Like, when it was really jarring seeing your comments on, this bug exists when it's been like a bug for literal years. And I don't know if that's because you just joined the team or if you've been with the team for all these years and just didn't know. But some of these bugs have been reported, some of just the basic things that can really improve PvP have been reported for literal years, So you guys,
I'm with
that's
you.
the only thing I have to say, man. Just pay more attention.
I'm with you to a degree, but I actually, if we're adding on a little bit extra here, when it comes to the devs, I think they get way too much praise recently. You guys, go back to when Stain and Kirtana got banned. Everyone was praising the devs, and I'm sitting here why are we praising people for doing their job?
It's not about praising. It's not about that. What he's doing isn't his job. His interaction with the community, that's Musco's job, dude. When's the last time anyone's heard anything from Musco?
That's actually not Musco's job.
That's not about. As a community manager, he's not supposed to relay these things to us, and from us to the dev team. That's not his job as a community manager. What is his job as CM?
No, okay, look, that's fine.
I'm actively asking, what's Musco's
So
job?
I've asked this question myself to Musco, and it is more to do with the management of the community team, and it's more of a marketing-based role. An interesting interesting thing that happened the other day is there was a guy in my stream on Trovo who used to work at BioWare. And I asked, because my question was, what the fuck does he do to fill 40 hours a week? Because I have no clue what he would do to fill 40. It's not I'm not shit talking anymore. I just genuinely want to know. And apparently, what this guy told me who worked there, he did the loading animations. I've forgotten his fucking name, and that's really going to piss me off now.
I was here actually.
When he was saying that basically he reads the forums and responds to forum posts. Passes that information on.
All I'll say is this, man. The communication that we've been having this past year alone, it's equal to the amount of communication we had in the past 5 years. So I'm not going to say, I'm not going to say, it's not worth praising them for that, because after you've been dude. After you've been starving and you want water so bad, right? And someone finally gives you a drop of water. It's not like you shit on that person for giving you water.
Well, I'm going to tell you why we need to praise him, right? I'm going to tell you why. Because in order to get a behavior that you want continued, you have to reinforce that behavior. It's how you train dogs, Junkie.
exactly.
I agree.
Feedback.
I agree, but like I agree with what you're saying, Kree. I get it. I understand why you're praising him.
You're so fucking salty tonight, Junkie.
No, yeah, I'm always salty. It's fucking Star Wars, dude. But like, when it comes to like the devs, like this shouldn't be something new. This should have been here from day one.
It should have, and now it is, and we're grateful.
Yeah,
Thank you, Chris.
That's why I don't praise them, because this should have been here.
Yeah, but it's a bit like
as we in German say, hätte Fahrradkette.
Yes,
Should have been, whatever.
Well done, Sarah. See, thank you for that one. But Junkie, it's a bit like if you got your best friend who's on heroin and they stop doing heroin, you don't go, oh well, fuck you. You should never done heroin in the first place.
Yes, I do.
Well,
I
do.
Might. I literally say, like, I'm gonna go to a story about a friend of mine actually got hooked on fucking marijuana. From day one, I said, you're a dickhead for doing this. Stop doing it, you fucking retard. And then, like, 3 years later, I find out he's been in fucking prison and rehab. And I didn't say, well done. I said, you're a fucking retard, because he still was. Anyway, there you go, I'm done.
Thank you very much for joining us. In this podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. I will be uploading this to YouTube, so you can.
Oh, we're not doing wish list and community.
Oh yes, I beg your pardon. Well, we just did community. So if there's anything you want to add for that.
I have one wish list topic that Zauruk Swotor told me yesterday to bring up. So I need to bring it up. So what Zauruk wants is a keybind option for target enemy 1 to 4 for arenas.
Oh, that would
so
be
devs,
beautiful.
please.
Oh, dude, I'm down for that, man. I don't even keybind, but I'm 100% down for that.
Can I tell you something about this game, right, which absolutely blows my nips off, right, is the keybinds and shit in this game are so fucking terrible compared to anything else. Like, the options available and the weird shit that happens. Like, control locks your right mouse? You know that? I don't understand that at all.
Or sometimes you cannot move forward. Like
if that's
it's control.
WASD are sometimes weirdly
I can tell you how that works, Heresy. We sussed this out, and we can actually fix it. So anyone who gets this problem, if you hold down control, W will not work. So what you need to do is go into your keybinds and keybind walk forward to W and control and W, and then it'll work.
All right, thanks.
So that works. But yeah, hold on control. Right. That doesn't go on there. What else is there on there? I want a target, focus target. That's not an option.
I want my tab target to actually cycle through 4 people instead of 2 people consistently.
Yeah.
Like
you can change that. You can change that.
How do you change it? That tilts me so much.
Change tab from target. You have to change it to target.
From cycle in space to left to right.
Yeah. You have to change it to target next enemy, but you have to have the cycle space thing on.
Yeah, but that's even more irritating because it doesn't prioritize the nearest player anymore.
Yeah.
So I like to not use that, but it's still fucking annoying when you get like 2-3 people and never the 4th.
Yeah, the amount of times I've tabbed for like, I don't know, I'm tabbing to flash a healer, and then I'm spending like half an hour tabbing to try and get back to my original target. I'm like, come on!
I've got a target nearest friendly player keybind, right, for like heals and shit, and for holo traverse. Mm-hmm. And that cycles through players, but the enemy one doesn't.
I just target the nearest teammate too. It's really good on scroll wheel because you can scroll really fast with your mouse wheel.
But yeah, you can't do that with. If you could do that with tab, it would be fine because you would just target the nearest player and then you could just click the player. Yeah. You could just cycle through the tab target.
Can I do a wish list thing?
Yes.
So for my wish list thing, I wish that they would make it so that on the UI and the ops frame. For people who use the ops frame in arenas, I wish that they would make a tank and a healer always in the same position, no matter like from match to match, they're always in the same position. In conjunction with the keybinding, keybinding target enemy 1, enemy 2, etc. That way you can always have like target enemy 1 is always going to be tank, target enemy 2 will always be healer, etc. But at the very least, always make tank and healer in the same location on the ops frame. That's my wish.
Well, that would be great too. Oh, I have a little one.
Yeah.
Finally, change the Sorg and Sin icon color on the fucking scoreboard.
Oh my god, please change that. Please change that.
When did they change it? Like season 10?
I
they
hate it,
changed
dude. I
the
thought it was a
icons,
bug.
icon
and they would swap
colors,
it
and
back.
it's never been changed on the fucking scoreboard. Never.
Okay, I got one for my wish list. I don't know what they did, but they changed the animation for Shroud, and I don't like it. Can you change it back, please? Because I can't fucking see whenever a Sin fucking shrouds, and I miss everything. Thank you. Appreciate
I
it.
used to do that. I used to do that back in the day where I would pick like a dye and make an outfit that looked the same as Shroud. It was great.
Dude, I don't know when they changed
can I give
it,
you
but, like,
guys
it's a recent thing.
a fucking pro tip? So there's an item in the game. This is for shadows. It's the one you get from Dantooine. It's 150 million. It's the emote one, where you do like the money and you do the double guns and all the credit signs flows off you.
Oh yeah,
That
You're
changes.
permanently yellow.
That changes your color to the same, exactly the same effect as
Does
what's
that
it
have
called?
like a 60-minute cooldown though?
No, you can spam it.
Really?
Yeah. It's the same as Shadow. It looks exactly the same.
Can you not give Shadows another reason for me not to be able to see Shroud? Thanks,
They
mate.
should all pop that at the
Thanks.
start of the game. It stays on the entire time.
Dude, I'm literally just going to be sat there like, oh, he's in Shroud, he's in Shroud, he's in Shroud, like for the entire game. How the fuck is he still in Shroud?
Can you use that in PvP? Because
Yeah.
I'm gonna get that like.
Yeah, it's 150 million credits.
I can
Pay
you
to
not
win,
remove
boys.
vote kick, because I'm vote kicking Kreia every fucking game now. I ain't having that cunt in my game going gold every 5 seconds.
Hang on, let me log on to my operative. I'll tell you what it's called now.
Call me the Golden God.
Yeah, everyone always says, "What's on your number 7 keybind, Slave?" And that's what it is. Obviously, it's no good for operative, but I like being a
The Golden Dreamer, right?
I am not impressed with you, Snake.
I think it's
am
called the
100%
Golden Dreamer.
No, it's called something like something's gratitude. It is. I'm just logging in now. I'll tell you what it's called.
Oh yeah, Yarrock's Gratitude, but the buff I think is called the Golden Dreamer. Something like that.
Yeah, Yarvok's gratitude, and the buff is the Golden Dreamer. Yeah, you got it. It's a 5-minute buff. Just to show you quickly on stream what it looks like.
Was the Shroud
that's what it looks
animation changed this season? Because I feel like it's recent thing, the Shroud animation.
Not that I know of.
Like the colors?
Yeah, like when you Shroud, like...
Shroud is, I think, white, and that color that Snave showed is, I believe, Shadow's, resilience.
I think it's more of a Sin thing over a Shadow, for me personally, but the animation has changed.
Yeah, the animation
really?
kicks in a little bit after it's active.
I find it extremely hard to see a Shroud anymore, because obviously I'm a clicker, I'm not like you pros, I don't keybind, so I rely off seeing an animation for a DCD or whatever.
Dude, Junkie, if you learned to keybind, you would be like, that alone would increase your skill level by like a multitude of a gazillion.
Stop.
It would, dude.
That's
You
fine.
could be a top 3
Junkie
player.
is not
It's
Junkie.
I'm fine. I can take
You
it.
could be a top 3 player, Junkie.
I can take it. It's fine.
You'd be rank 1, dude, if you keybound.
One bug that Azer has just
You'd be
linked.
tier S.
One bug that Azer's just linked to me is when you bubble on Sage, if you get ravaged, it pulls you out.
Oh, beautiful. All right, time.
Oh, there are
fuck you,
so
Sage.
many more.
Fuck
Ghost
yeah.
GCDs, hello.
But isn't that only a Sentinel? Isn't that only Sentinels that pull them out, yeah?
Sarah C, I had 4 dead GCDs out of 6 yesterday. I was fucking
Yeah.
tamping.
Like in some rounds, you get a lot of them, and then you get like 10 matches without any, and then you get one round with like, 2 out of 3 are dead again, and you're like, what the fuck?
All
And
right.
it happens on any class, it feels like. Doesn't matter what you hit, sometimes
Before
it's just...
we go into the
just
whole
there.
bug list type of thing again, right? I have one
Yeah.
suggestion. Kreia, you're an upstanding member of this community. What I would task you with is to send Chris a message on Discord with your suggestions about getting into a game and playing a little bit, because I'm sure he would listen to you, because you're so eloquent and adorable.
Dude, I would bring him... Whenever, Take a Seat, right? Is that the guild? When they do their kickballs, we should bring him along. Or at least plan
I'm
to have him
absolutely
along.
for it. I'm
so he can
100% for it.
Yeah, I'll even come along and be very polite.
Press
That was a
X
funny
for
joke.
doubt.
That was a good joke. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Anything else anyone wants to bring up? No, we're
I
all
like my
good.
steak, medium rare.
Excellent stuff. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm going to be ending the podcast now. I'm going to grab a drink, and then we're going to do some solo ranked. So, Sarah, are you doing ranked now as well, or Junkie Kreia?
No, I can't.
Oh, I'm done.
Probably
Yeah,
taking a small break, but yeah, maybe
I'm
later.
going
Maybe
bed.
later. All right. Well, thank you all for joining, and I will get in touch with you for the next one. Cheers, guys.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Take it easy.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.